Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 843, NFL playoff predictions and the Pitt. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. Been hit by this, the big storm that's come to Western Europe. Had very, very high winds. Pretty cold, but other than that, doing pretty well.
Yeah. How's it's a different recording time for us. A Saturday morning. How do you feel with for you a Saturday afternoon recording?
Yeah, it's fine. Doesn't cause me any issues. I wasn't out last night, so no impact. It's kind of nice, like not to have to worry about conflicting meetings and events. It's a little easier than.
So we're gonna get a free loose Eddie, an unhinged Eddie.
Yeah, certainly unhinged. Especially if Crystal Palace don't pull off an incredible comeback in the FA Cup. It's going to become increasingly unhinged over the course of the next half an hour. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's kind of like the perfect time because there's actually not Premier League, but there is some FA Cup action.
Perfect. Love losing money on the FA Cup. It's always the best thing in the world. Yeah.
It's the FA Cup.
Yes, exactly.
My first true sports betting losses.
Yeah. Anyway. Things are going pretty well. I also had an alumni event for my high school this week, which was interesting. Nothing major to report. It's mostly them just asking for donations. I never give any money, so that's sort of the standoff that we have.
But you went.
I do go. Yeah. It's an.
It was at.
It's at a Marriott. No, it's at a Marriott. Like it's in on the Champs-Élysées. It's nice. But yeah, you're just there. You get some free drinks, and then eventually you get the pitch as to why it's important to give money back to the high school. And
was friend of the podcast Phil there networking?
He was not there. No, I did not know anyone there. So it was fairly. The attendance was not high, in part due to the weather because it's been snowing a lot. So kind of getting to things has not been super easy. But what did happen? So there's someone walking around.
A sponsor.
No, someone's walking around taking photos because they're just going to post that. Like it's going to go in the newsletter and on the website and stuff. And for a lot of the photos they're taking from distance, they're not saying anything to you. But every once in a while, they are actually coming up and saying, "Hey, do you mind if we take a photo of you?" Which it's like, I don't even know why you bother asking. I've agreed to attend this event. I had to RSVP to go to this. I feel like that's sort of tacit agreement to be used for marketing purposes.
Everyone?
No, there's a couple immediately behind me, and they came up and said, do you mind if we take a photo of you? No, please don't do that.
Do you think they were event crashers?
No, they definitely weren't. But it's like unless you're famous, I don't quite understand what the reasoning.
Were they famous?
No, certainly not.
Was it Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner?
It was, yes. As it turns out, it was. I thought they looked kind of familiar. But yeah, like
true, not that famous.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why you would say no. They didn't, they looked perfectly fine. It wasn't as if under normal circumstances I'd say yes, but I have a patch on my eye because I just had some operation done, and I don't want that being the thing people see me with. They looked normal.
Oh, there go all our patch eye listeners. You had to ridicule them. Thanks. We're sorry. That's the podcast doesn't all share that view on people who are eye patches. Completely fine.
This is a 2-ear, 2-eye only podcast. If you don't meet those requirements, go listen to something else. Yeah.
Have to have both ears, or have to have both ears working?
Just
have a patch over the ear.
You can have as many patches on your ears as you want.
Yeah, that is kind of strange that people would refuse the photo. Did you ask why?
No, they weren't really speaking to anyone else either. So, I'm not exactly.
Even more reason you should have just asked why, because it sounds like they were the type of people that you probably will never talk to again.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly. I had conversations with 3 or 4 other people, I suppose, whilst I was there. It's not the most dynamic event. anyway, and you do have such a massive age range. Like one of the people I spoke to who had graduated from high school in the 1960s, but refused to say the specific year. So you're supposed to write a little name tag. You say your name and you say your graduating year is what you're supposed to do. And so she had her name and then just had 1960s. And then as I spoke to her, I said, "Oh, when did you graduate?" And she doubled down on that and said, "In the 1960s, but I will not tell you the year." I don't know
Oh,
how
oh, she's playing
radically
hard to get, Eddie. Playing hard to get there.
I don't know how radically she felt like telling me the year was gonna change my perception of her. Like, that if she said 1969 versus 1960, I was gonna be like, "No, no, no. I will not speak to someone who graduated from high school in 1960. 1969 is fine."
What about the next morning? Did she tell you then?
Very good.
Thank you.
I could see that one working its way behind your eyes as you were preparing to say it.
So we've got two major talking points for this podcast episode. Obviously, I have three. I lied, three. We have the college football playoffs that the semifinals just finished last night. We have the NFL playoffs that are about to be underway in about 6 or 7 hours. And then we have the season one premiere of the Pitt. So a little bit of football, a little bit of television. Where would you like to start?
Well, let's start with the college football playoff because we don't need to spend
Yeah.
too much time on that. One close game, one complete blowout. So, and I guess the only really major talking point to come from it was the no call on pass interference late in the Ole
Last
Miss
play.
last play of the game on the Hail Mary in the Ole Miss game, which it's a common theme in our podcast on should they throw a flag on the last play of the game. It's been and what bothers me, so this is an example of where I did feel like that was defensive pass interference. I
Yeah.
do know, like, yes, on a Hail Mary, it's always gonna be a little bit handsier than it is on a normal play, so I do think the bar has to be a bit higher, and both players are kinda grabbing at each other, but there's definitely major, major contact coming from the corner, and they'd been calling pass interference pretty frequently throughout that game, including in the 4th quarter, to
And
so
yeah,
then
late in
t
drives. Very,
yes.
very late, like the
Extending
last
drives
three
on 3rd
drives.
downs.
Yep.
Y
Yes.
so to then decide that that was the moment when you were gonna kind of not interfere with the game, that bothers me. Again, it's the consistency there, and that to me is an issue.
No, 100% agree. My feeling is they should always call penalties when they're penalties, but if not, at the very least, be consistent in the degree upon which you call penalties. And that was definitely one where that was a penalty and it was not called, and it was not consistent because they had called it. I mean, literally the last 3 or 4 drives, every team had been bailed out by some sort of very close penalty call where, it could have kind of gone either way. Um, and I mean, Ole Miss kind of got back into that game a little bit from penalties. Those were penalties. I mean, you had the targeting one, and then the very next play, that guy came into the pile 3 seconds after a whistle was blown and just like went like shoulder first into the defender on the ground. Ole Miss was definitely using those penalties to their advantage to get back into that game, but I think that was a penalty and it should have been called. I understand the Hail Mary does cause a lot of chaos, but I still think if you're a receiver and you're unable to get like both of your hands up to go for a catch because the defender's holding it back, then that's got to be pass interference.
Yeah, and it's an easier call too, right, in college football because it's not a spot foul. So you don't in the NFL, I understand that's a tougher penalty to throw because you're not guaranteeing the other team wins, but you're putting them from okay, time's expiring. So it's one play from the 1 yard line. But you at that moment you put the offense as heavy, heavy favorites. Whereas that would have put them on the 15, I think, something like that, the 15 to 20. So
About that, yeah.
so yeah, the offense feels like it's a reasonable chance, but you'd still put the defense as still favorites to
Yeah.
stop one play from the 15. So it's an easier flag to throw. I get like last play of the Super Bowl, that's a tough flag. You have to
Yeah.
really feel like something was egregious, I suppose. But yeah, it's just wanting that consistency. And again, we're watching games, and it's impossible to do the comparison of the way they're officiating in college versus how they're officiating in the NFL. But we're seeing some games where there's a willingness from officiating crews to impact games late on, and then others where they feel like their responsibility is to kind of step away and let the players decide it. And I honestly think the sport as a whole, both in college and in the NFL, has to actually come out at a certain point and say, no, this is the approach. Like the bar is raised or it isn't raised. Like either one, we're going to hold you to the same standard or final play of the game. And maybe, for example, Hail Marys do have to be kind of treated differently, but then you need to put that down in writing that, yeah, a 60-yard bomb downfield where you're going to have 4 or 5 players in the end zone kind of clamoring to get positioning. There's going to be contact there that in other situations would be considered pass interference, but we obviously can't call it there because it will just be offsetting penalties over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing too with that pass with the Hail Mary no call pass interference, most Hail Marys that you see, both the defender and the receiver are kind of already standing there. So when the ball's thrown, everyone's kind of looking at the ball and like jumping for it. And I'm okay with that if you're like trying to make a play on the ball, but then also kind of hand fighting with the receiver. But in the instance of this Ole Miss game, the guy's back was turned for most of that throw and he's holding them. And it's not until the very end when the ball's like almost on him that he then turns around to kind of like, quote, play the ball. So that one is where I was like, that's definitely pass interference because it's not like he's just jumping to make a play on the ball. He's making a play on the receiver. And then at the last second, he's turning around to locate the ball. Like that's different than what you normally think. Like that's why I think you can give more leeway with the pass interference because you can make the claim that the defender's also playing the ball because he's probably turned around watching it the entire time.
Yeah. And yeah, so I don't
That was
think
a
it's
good
the
game
war.
though.
It was. Yeah, it was. And look, I mean, this is kind of point I wanted to put to you. You know, there was so much criticism for the inclusion of
Yeah.
those teams in the round one, and then since then we've had multiple blowouts. So the whole idea was like, oh God, look, you stuck JMU into the college football playoffs, and we get this complete no show and a blowout, and this is a joke. And then since then, the vast majority of games have been blowouts, including some
Yeah.
of the teams that then blow that team out, then get blown out in a subsequent game. So it's a tough one. I think we just had to accept, and which we also spoke about on previous episodes, that college football, the nature of the beast is that there will be lopsided games.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, for me, it's still slightly astounding that Carson Beck has found his way to the national championship game. I mean, even watching that game, he had so many bad throws. Like those last few drives, he had that one where he had the guy completely free for a touchdown, like the deep throw, and he underthrew him by like 10 yards. And then he had a few sideline throws that he threw like 5 feet over to like the receiver or like into the dirt. Like it is crazy to me that he is still leading his team to wins. And yeah, like the touchdown run was nice, but at like most of that drive like wasn't him. Like it's pretty crazy. I think I don't know how he's doing this. I cannot trust him, but he is winning games, and it is surprising. He is the opposite of Mendoza, who right now or yesterday looked almost unstoppable. I think he ended up like 18 for 20 with 5 touchdown passes. A quarter of his completions were touchdowns almost. It was a highly impressive game by Mendoza and
It will,
Indiana on a whole. I mean, that was insane.
yeah, they look like a juggernaut, and I mean, it's kind of impossible to imagine that Miami could keep pace with them because they just score for fun. And the thing I like about them, I will say, it feels very un-American. They are willing to just run up the score. Like, they
Yeah.
will go up by 5, 6 touchdowns in quarterfinals, semifinals, and at moments where you think to yourself, "Oh, they're up by 21 points, 24 points in the 3rd quarter. They're not gonna throw a bomb here," and then they will. And I kinda like that. It's sort of refreshing to see to a certain extent, but the one thing I don't like, the storyline, and I get it, you need something as a motivator, but you know, Mendoza after the game yesterday came out and said, like, "We have no 5-star recruits on this team." And that
Oh, Eddie, come on. You can do a better Mendoza than that.
and that might be the case. But when you're so reliant, which Indiana has been, on the transfer portal, I think the concept of a five-star recruit has to get thrown out. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
Mendoza may not have been a five-star recruit when he went to Cal, but he was a much higher, like, a much more coveted recruit when he transferred from Cal to, Indiana, and the same could go for a host of their players who, at that moment in time, and that kind of continues when you look at their activity in the transfer portal right now. That continues to be their focus, is not really recruiting high school players, but taking players through the transfer portal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely now. I'll still say most of these players, even though they were transfers, weren't even at the top of the transfer portal. Like like their leading receiver, Surratt. I mean, he was still kind of very, very low on that transfer portal. And that was kind of an interesting thing that Signetti had said is that he doesn't when he's looking for even in the transfer portal, he doesn't look for like potential. He looks for literal productivity, which I thought was kind of interesting. So he took Surratt, I think, from a junior college, and it was like, well, like did you see something in him? Like, what was it? And he's like, no, the reason we took him is because he had 50 catches for like 900 yards in like 8 games. He was super productive, and we want productivity. Like, we want people who can put up numbers and put up stats and play in the games, and not like take someone who's the fourth string on Ohio State's wide receiver who has a lot of potential, but you've never actually seen him on the field yet. So I thought that was kind of interesting as a philosophy. And I don't know if that'll still hold true when now the top recruits that are freshmen that didn't play at, like Texas or something want to transfer to Indiana, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, that was at first I will say I had Oregon on the tees. So I had +10 and I felt okay about it, going in. I said, I think Oregon can keep it close at least within almost a two-score game. And they kind of imploded early. Obviously, the pick six and then the fumble. And it was kind of one of those ones like, oh, is Oregon now going to just shoot themselves in the foot? And then it's going to be like fourth quarter. And they say, like, oh, if we just had one of those turnovers back. But then by the second quarter, it was quite clear that turnovers or no turnovers, they were not winning that game. It was impressive. I mean, Indiana just put full throttle. Every drive you thought they were going to score. Like, it was a shock when they got stopped, and on the other side, their defense is good. I mean, Oregon has a good offense, and they shut them down pretty good. I mean, this could be one of the better. People already comparing this to the 2019 LSU team. Is that right?
Yeah. I think LSU
17
would
or
smoke
19?
them,
19, right?
but
I don't. But we've been saying that all year about Indiana. Like every game, it's like now they're going to get exposed. Now we're going to see
I
it,
don't think
and
it's
it's like they're
I don't think
getting
it's
better. They're getting
I don't
better.
they are getting better. I don't think it's exposed. Look, I don't know how ultimately I've all year long have only really felt like there were two very good teams in college football. One of them got eliminated in the first round here. And so it was Indiana's to lose from that point on. And I know I said last episode I felt like uh this Oregon was the only team left that could potentially stop them. They didn't do a very good job of doing that. I mean, they're 7.5 point favorites against Miami. I don't know how you take Miami plus 7.5. I genuinely don't, based on what we've seen from, again, also going back to the fact that Indiana has shown a desire to kind of run up the score. And I don't mean that negatively, but they both, because, they're arguing probably is they don't want to let teams back in. So they want to try and completely close the door when they can. If they can go up 28 points, and that feels a lot better than being up 16. But also because I think it's a little bit of a statement for them in terms of trying to put Indiana on the map of, oh, we just ran through the playoffs and embarrassed everyone we played on the way. But yeah, I think I don't expecting them to be exposed. Even if they were to lose, I don't think that exposes them. But it also, this isn't convincing me. I still don't think Mendoza is going to be an incredible NFL quarterback.
He looked good yesterday, though.
He
I mean,
did.
every throw was perfect.
He did, but he is in a really great environment to be good. And it
And he ran
worries
well
me.
too. Like, he scrambled pretty well.
It worries me that he's gonna go to the Raiders, and that is not a good environment in which to be good, and that's gonna be tough for him. I'm not sure. I don't know. And again, he could prove me wrong, but I just feel like he's a really great college football quarterback, and we've seen a few of those that do not translate to good NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always pretty skeptical, but I don't know. I mean, watching that game yesterday, I was I mean, he looked near perfect in every throw and every play. His reads were good. Yeah, I think I think we're on the same page. The worry is how does this translate to playing with the group of individuals that will be on an NFL roster versus the individuals on a college roster that can get behind kind of this dorky conglomeration of cohesion of belief in God and the system kind of thing. You know, like if he tries to throw the word conglomerate in front of in front of Max Crosby, is Max Crosby just gonna like hit him over the head? Like,
Except I think it depends how good he is, because I think if he's quite good, people will find that to be charmingly sort of dorky and endearing. And that will be that's his vibe. The question is, once he starts to struggle, could he lose a locker room really quickly where they go, "Shut up, dork. Like we've heard
yeah.
enough. We don't need the big words. We don't need all glory to God before everything you say. This is just we need to win games. And right now we're not winning games."
Yeah, I think, Eli Manning is a great example of that. I think Eli Manning was very dorky, but, he had the ultimate respect of everyone in that locker room because, he was a winner and he was good in clutch situations and everyone got behind him. But you can
Man,
see times where, like, dorky players have not succeeded.
Manning's tough. Eli Manning's tough though because he's also from the first family of professional football. And so
Yeah,
there's a little bit there too of like, do you want to be mean to Eli Manning? And then like if you and run the risk that you cannot then play for say the Colts because Peyton Manning is going to be like, don't sign that fucker. He was rude to my brother. Like there's, like I don't want him on my team. So that's the other element there. It's a little bit harder to touch the kind of quarterback dynasty than it is, and Arch Manning will have that same element when he comes into the pros of like people will
yeah,
probably be nicer to him in part because it's you don't want to piss off Eli Manning and Peyton Manning through
yeah.
being,
You wanna be on Peyton's place.
exactly. Especially now he's really upping his the work that he's doing.
Or you wanna be featured on Chad Power season 2. Even
Exactly.
better.
If when things don't work out.
Yeah.
Now, I guess transitioning then to the NFL before we get on to the playoffs. A big theme of our last episode was firings. We
Of
recorded, and
coaches.
then shortly afterwards, 2 head coaches were fired. Uh,
Yeah.
the big and we part of our discussion last episode was which are the most desirable jobs. I think the most desirable jobs became available just after we recorded that episode because you had Harbaugh being fired from the Ravens. I think that immediately becomes the most desirable job out of any of them.
I don't know.
Really?
I mean, their defense is shit. They have no defense. You have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers, and likely give a good offense, but I don't know if Lamar's gonna stay. Like,
Where's
there's also talks about, like the whole like, are the Ravens gonna move on from Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, but I don't get that. This feels
I
like
don't either.
media
I
this
don't
feels
either,
media
but
driven. This feels and
I
again,
don't
I don't
know, dude.
wanna
Owners are idiots.
I don't wanna bring this the Bill Simmons element in here, but it's these kind of guys who sort of doubt Lamar Jackson and then will be like, Well, he's not getting you over the hump, so you gotta move on." It's like, what are the chances that you get a quarterback who's better than Lamar Jackson? Like, even if you're down on Lamar Jackson, even if you really aren't a believer,
But Eddie,
he's a top
what's
10
the
NFL
chances?
quarterback.
I agree, but what are the chances you get a better head coach than John Harbaugh?
Well, the argument there is at a certain moment in time, John Harbaugh has been there for so long that maybe you do need to freshen things up a bit. I think that's a different argument. You don't really have that
Lamar
with
Jackson's been there
quarterbacks.
for a long time too.
Well, yeah, but not that long. It's not the same. I can get with a head coach where you say, like, look, it's been approaching 20 years and we just need a fresh perspective. And, maybe you need to go somewhere else. This is like best for all parties concerned if you go and do something else for a little bit. There aren't in any sport, there are not a huge number of examples of of coaches who can stay in place for like decades and continue to deliver the same level of performance. And with all of those, there does come a moment in time where you start to feel like mm, maybe they're. I think losing the locker room is extreme, which is some of the accusations that Harbaugh has had. I think it's more just the same methods you use, the same messaging you use. People, you're going to get people say, "I've heard it before." All right, I heard it last season. I heard it the season before. I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna. Who's got it better than us? Yeah, nobody. I get it. I get it. Except who's got it better than us? All of the teams that just made the playoffs. How about them? They've got it better than us.
So speaking of real quick, I sent you that Gannon clip after Gannon got fired of like when in the beginning of the season when he did that stupid like who came here, who drove here, who came here on a bus? Did you have that feeling in your gut? And everyone, all the players are looking at him and be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
That was not the right message.
That's the type of fresh messaging you need in Baltimore, just to really
I haven't
bring
heard
things
that message before.
Harbaugh never asked us how we got here.
Yeah. I love that you take the bus. What fucking NFL player is like? Is there a bus stop even nearby the stadium? Like
in Arizona?
But like, is there like a special bus that takes you to the front of the players' locker
Hey, maybe
room?
some of the guys are really environmentally concerned and they take public transport everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm surprised he didn't ask who took a Waymo. At least,
Did you
at
see a
least
Waymo got stuck on the train track on the tram track? It tried to take the tram road. Oh my
yeah.
god, fucking Waymo. Oh, poor
But no,
Waymo.
but no, it's yeah, and then obviously Mike McDaniels also lost the job in Miami, which I think is a little bit more surprising because it felt like he'd probably saved his job towards the back end of that season where they'd started to improve and they moved on from Tua, and it felt like they'd probably made the decision of McDaniels over Tua, and that was the
Yeah.
change. So sort of strange for them to move on now.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. I don't know if maybe something happened after the season. Maybe they had a end of season meeting and it didn't go as well as planned or something. I don't know, but that it was strange that if they were gonna fire him, they could have probably done it earlier and probably had better coaches or like ready to go. But they're now behind the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all reports suggest that he was completely blindsided by it. And so McDaniels did not expect to be fired. So, yeah, it's, surprising. And look, I can kinda get it. Like, they went from being Super Bowl contenders towards the beginning of his time there to now I mean, it's tough
A
because 'cause they're kinda
meme.
the same. Yeah, they are, but, like, they're not that bad. They're not even the worst team in their division. And they're in a
No,
tough
they're
division.
not.
It's a tough thing to say to now as for a new head coach coming in of, "Oh, do you wanna be up against 2 of the arguably the 2 best teams in the AFC are now in your division? Good luck." Like, this is gonna be easy for you. I mean, what's the pitch to a new head coach in Miami? What does success look like? How quickly do you need to even make the playoffs to be considered a successful appointment? Because if I thought I were gonna interview there, I would wanna say, "I don't even want judgment for 5 years, because how am I supposed to compete against these 2 teams?" Like, if we get to for us to get to 10 wins would be remarkable because it means we probably have to beat the Patriots and the Bills at least once just to get to that level, and that's gonna be going some, and even if we get to 10 wins, we could finish 3rd in our division. So we're still just gonna be a wild card team even with double-digit wins.
Yeah, not the best division. Yeah, I think the Giants is still the best spot for a coach.
Maybe. Speaking of the Giants, I did get hit by a fake story on my Instagram feed about the Giants, and it was one
Oh,
of those.
what meals did Jackson Dart deliver to families?
No, it was a it was Mike Kafka had uncontrollable gas in meetings was the headline. And
Are you sure that's not real?
yeah, I had to dig into it because it was like
Because it
not
could have been on that Hard Knocks one that because they did that stupid NFC East Hard Knocks.
I Googled it
at the end of the year.
and nothing came up,
Couldn't
so
find anything.
I think it's fake, but it says it's Giants head coach Mike Kafka had uncontrollable farts during team meetings, according to multiple players. Hard Knocks had to edit out multiple clips of him farting, and players had to get used to the constant noise and smell.
Guy's the big protein guy, big protein shake guy.
I believed it until the constant noise. Like, that was the part of the article where it's like, the const the guy can't have so much gas that's just like an explosion going off on a consistent pace that's, oh, speaking of which, when I turned on the Indiana game last night, for whatever reason, the first thing I got was the Pat McAfee, like, feed of the Indiana game. So
Okay.
it's him commentating.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when there was some kind of sounded like firecrackers going off or something. It's a little bit of a testament to the state of America, but Pat McAfee he's like, "There's, like, some kind of explosions going off in the stadium. There's, like, crackling in my headphones. I hope everyone's safe." Like, he had to make that statement, which was it was both really strange because it didn't I mean, obviously, things could be happening and you're completely unaware from the view that he has, but nothing was happening. I think it was just his headphones, but it was like a really strange that's the moment I kinda didn't realize at first which feed I was watching, and then I had to change channels to get onto something proper, but it was a little bit bizarre.
Yeah, those feeds are really weird. I still don't get why a lot of people watch that. Even the Eli and Peyton one, I think is kinda weird still.
That one doesn't bother me as much because at least there, I can kinda get why you would watch it because they are talking to people, they're interviewing interesting people, and you're kinda just, like, watching them whilst a game goes on. So, basically,
Yeah.
what you're saying is I'm more interested in an Eli Manning, Peyton Manning podcast than I am in this game, and then the game is kind of also there. Whereas the McAfee one, that's just him commentating on a game. There's no added element to it, really. So, it's
Yeah.
a little strange.
Yeah, I guess the Peyton one would be the equivalent of, like, if you're at home and you're watching, like, a different show, and
Yeah.
then on, like, your phone or something on silent, you just have the game on, which I
Yeah.
do often, actually.
Yeah.
But
Like
I'm not watching 2 ex-quarterbacks talk. I'm usually watching I'm usually watching Below Deck, something a lot more stimulating.
yes, of course. All right, so now moving on to the NFL playoffs. So things get started today with two. Well, probably. Well, the one is the heaviest favorite of the weekend, and then one really interesting game, a rematch of a game that we saw a couple weeks ago. But yeah,
And
overall,
then a couple weeks ago before that.
yes, overall some good matchups, some tight, close games. You know, it's nice that there's not too many heavy favorites, which oftentimes wildcard weekend, you've got sort of 4 double-digit favorites and then a couple close games between 2 bad teams that you give no chance to. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things go. I guess we'll go I got 2 options for you here. I wanna get your full
Chronologically.
NFL. We'll do chronologically, but do we start with picking the individual games, or I wanna get you on record now making your playoff full bracket prediction?
Oh.
So do you wanna do that first, and then we can go back and kinda go into more details about the game, or do you wanna speak
Let's
in
do these
detail about the
games
game?
first, and
Okay.
then we can go into because now you've put me on the spot. I don't even know who's gonna win this week's games. I gotta make my
Oh,
decisions on the fly.
okay. Well, what if you make
No,
different
I know.
decisions in the different segments? What if
Even better. I'll hedge
you
my
fir
bets.
you
Let me
pick
hedge
the
my bets
Panthers
here.
Panthers to have a
Yep,
huge upset in the focus, and then in the
yep.
bracket,
Rams to
Rams,
win it all.
easy. Yeah. All right, so we kick off with the Panthers at the Rams. The Rams are 10.5 point favorites.
Yeah, so this line I think is actually a little lower than it might have been had the Panthers not beaten the Rams a few weeks ago, or was that 2 months ago?
Don't bring it up. Yeah, painful
Yeah,
for me.
sorry. Sorry. She gave me that look. I was like, did I just like butcher
Oh,
something terribly?
terror. No, no, just painful reminders of
Yeah,
that
so
disappointing
about
Sunday.
6 weeks ago, Carolina beat them 31-28. But I mean, I know you'll have remembered that game, and I think a lot of people have remembered that game. That was a game that clearly the Rams lost. And that is
Yeah.
not a slight on the Panthers. They played good. The Panthers played a good game, but ultimately the Rams had 3 turnovers that game, shot themselves in the foot a few times, had a few dumb penalties that ended drives, and then kind of just let Carolina dictate the game a little bit. I don't think that will happen again. I mean, is there a scenario? Yes, where they fumble the ball 3 or 4 times and the Panthers win. That could happen for sure. But I think the Rams will be a lot more careful this time and just do what they do well, which is run the ball and then play action off of that run. And I think that will almost be unstoppable for the Panthers here. Uh, yeah, I just think the Rams have such a good run attack. The Panthers do not have a great run defense. So I think that just ultimately sets up well for like what I said, exactly what the Rams like to do is run and play action off of it. I cannot trust Bryce Young in his first playoff game. And I mean, that's not a knock on Bryce Young. I just don't think you can really trust anyone in their first playoff game. I think it's a tough environment. A lot of expectations there. So I will take the Rams to win this, and I will say I take the Rams to actually cover as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was arguably Matthew Stafford's worst performance of the season. Again, in that Panthers game, they had red zone turnovers. They had the costly penalties, as you alluded to. It was a game that really the Rams did everything possible to lose and still looked like they were going to win for large parts of it. It did have Puka Nacua making some of the most extraordinary catches we've seen all season, but he does that on a consistent basis.
Does that every week.
He does, but that was a standout performance from him, and they sort of wasted that, especially down the stretch. I think, yeah, it's just difficult. This is a Panthers team that we saw fundamentally just play a playoff game, in that it was a win and you're in, and not have to hope that the Falcons do you a favor, and they lost that, and they actually probably lost that more convincingly than the scoreboard ended up looking like, against a pretty bad Bucs team. And okay,
Yeah.
those were testing conditions, and the rain definitely didn't help them to play as you might like. But there's no reason to think that I I mean, if you're being positive, I suppose that's sort of a little bit of playoff experience and learning for them, for an inexperienced team. But yeah, I mean, this Rams team, they're when they play well, they do look like the best team in the NFL, and that offense is just so powerful with a defense who can also force turnovers and get stops, and a Panthers team that is inconsistent is a sort of generous way of describing them. So, yeah, I'll take the Rams to win and the Rams to cover.
And and I think real quick, a key point that neither of us kind of mentioned, Devontae Adams is supposed to return. I'm pretty sure. I think he's probable. Uh, he's been out since week 15, and you can tell he's been out. He's not a He's targeted often, but he's most targeted in the red zone, and I think you could tell that hurt them a little bit, not having him to go to when they were getting close to scoring. So I think that is a huge plus for the Rams. So if you were a little worried that they haven't looked good in the past few weeks, I mean, they were missing their number 2 target, who's their big scoring threat when they get close. So I think that is a huge plus for them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Google Gemini.
Oh, what? Google
No,
Gemini.
I
Oh,
meant to say Microsoft
oh,
Copilot, sorry.
oh my God, we're
Sorry.
pulling Gemini out for the playoffs. We've been keeping him on the
Do you wanna
on the
pull him out,
bench.
Gemini? Do you
We've
wanna
been
give
keeping him on the bench all season. We finally just benched Copilot Sam, that
Alright.
fucking
I actually meant
incompetent shit.
I did actually meant to say Copilot, but do you know what? We'll give Gemini the chance. We'll
Oh, Copilot Sam, take a fucking bench and a clipboard, buddy. You're done.
change of sponsor for the Big Chill podcast. All right, we will
I
give. I
have
will
to say, I've used Gemini before. It might be the fucking dumbest AI I've ever used.
Well, okay. I've given it the same prompt, so it gets to pick its own theme. Uh, its theme that it has chosen
It's football.
is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, it predicts Rams 31, Panthers 17. This one
Yeah,
is
I
all
like that.
about this one is all about revenge for the Rams. That midseason loss to the Panthers stung, and they've been waiting to settle the score. LA's offense, with Devontae Adams back in the fold, is simply too explosive for a Panthers team that struggles to move the ball consistently. You know what the Rams are thinking? Wiggle your big toe. They're gonna use the run game featuring Kyren Williams to soften up the Panthers' defensive front, and then Stafford is gonna air it out, leaving Carolina's Cinderella story as one of the most violent yet beautiful postseason bloodbaths we've seen in a while.
Oh my God, Gemini, where have you fucking been all season, Gemini? That's the most on point analysis I've ever heard. Unbelievable.
We might have
We've
been
been putting
replaced.
Gemini. Is this any given Sunday? Did we just take Willie Beeman off the bench and fucking give him the ball? Are we about to get Willie Beeman? Oh my God, this is unreal.
Well,
That's the
there you
most coherent analysis we've heard in fucking 18 weeks.
Is that
Sam,
including
you
from
are
us?
officially done. Yeah. I mean, Gemini took both of our analyses and put it
It
together
did.
right there.
Might have been listening. Did take some of the key points that each one of us made. But there we move on. I think so, yeah, we both expect that to be a fairly comfortable victory for the Rams. There we move on to a much tighter affair, which is the, Packers hosting the Bears. The Packers are 1.5 point favorites. Sorry, the Bears hosting the Packers, I should say. And I also got that wrong. I think I said the Rams hosting the Panthers, and it's the other way around, as the Panthers are division
Yep.
winners, despite being the lower seed. The Packers are now 1.5 point favorites. This line did I hate we don't really talk about lines moving. I think it's kind of one of those dull topics that people focus on too much, but this did open with the Bears being the favorites and has gradually shifted over the course of the week to the Packers being favorites. It's pretty much now the line is the same as it was when these two teams played a few weeks ago when the Bears pulled off one of the more improbable comebacks that we've seen in with the fourth down conversion to get the touchdown and then the onside kick recovery and then winning in overtime.
Yep.
Uh, since then, the Packers have become weaker. They've suffered more injuries. Yes, they got to rest all of their players last week. You'll have Love back. That was the game where Love went down hurt, which, probably they win that game although maybe they don't because that was actually a pretty good, uh, you know, backup performance. I kind of have to stick to the logic that I used going into that game. The weather is supposed to be pretty bad for this one, and I think the Bears have the better run game. I think their defenses are pretty much equal, and the fact that I think the Bears can just rely on moving the ball through on the ground throughout the game, I think that's makes me feel more confident with them. And you do have to give the fact that Caleb Williams has shown himself to be pretty clutch in close games. I'm going to take the Bears.
Okay. Eddie, do you know what happened on Monday, January 5th, 2026?
Monday, January 5th.
5 days ago?
Is this the signing of Diggs?
No. It's only 5 days ago.
No, I mean, not specifically that what you're referring to. No, I know what I did on that day, but
Toyotathon officially ended
okay.
on January 5th.
But you like Toyotathon for Jordan Love.
Yes, Jordan
Okay,
Love
so
is
this is a
phenomenal when
negative.
Toyotathon is going on, but it has officially ended, and so have the Green Bay Packers. I think I'm with you. I have been back and forth on this for every day now, kind of on who I want, and I think I'm slightly jaded by the fact that I did pick the Packers to make it to the Super Bowl in our preseason preview. So I think in the back of my mind, I kind of still want that to happen. So I think that's kind of been leaning me towards the Packers at times. But I think the Bears are the right choice here, especially getting points. I know it's only 1.5, but that could make a huge difference in a game where these two teams always end up playing it close. So basically, 1 month
It's got to
ago,
be
you
pretty
had,
close if that matters.
yeah, I mean, y-
It's going to be
about a month ago
It's going to
now,
be a 1 point win.
1 point game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A month ago, they played, and Green Bay won that game 28-21. For those who remember that game, the Bears literally had a pass to tie it up that was intercepted in the end zone. So very, very close. They then played 2 weeks later. So that was right before Christmas on the 20th. And that was a game that you alluded to. The Bears won. Since then, they did lose to the Niners. That was a pretty good game, though. That was a pretty back and forth game. And the Niners, that was like the peak of the Niners being on and being the Niners. But the Packers have not looked good for the last month. I mean, they squeaked by that win against the Bears, but then lost to the Broncos, lost to the Bears, lost to the Ravens, and then lost to the Vikings. I mean, they are on a 4-game losing streak and have not looked good in those 4 games. I just think I agree with you. I think the Bears are the more resilient team. I mean, I think the stat was they have like one of the lowest first half scoring offenses in the NFL, but yet consistently win games. They were down 14-3 and 6-0 at halftime to the Packers both times this season. So they're not afraid if they go down and it doesn't rattle them. And I think that's important in playoffs to not get rattled. Caleb Williams doesn't seem to get rattled. Like he'll have a bad play and next play it's a 50-yard scramble. So I think with all that, I think the Bears are just the team I want to be on the side of. I think they have a little luck going for them. They get a lot of nice turnovers, and they just seem to win games out. And I think that's kind of what you need in the playoffs. So I'm going to go also with the Bears. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it'll be a fun game to watch. And I just kind of hope the Bears can pull this out.
Yeah, and I certainly think, again, I think it's going to be a close game. So I would much rather, for example, be taking the Bears, plus 7.5 than I would be taking the Packers minus seven and a
That's a
half.
tease.
Yeah, I would feel pretty good about that because I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think either one of these teams is going to blow the other one out, regardless of how this game goes, especially with how the conditions might be.
Yeah.
Giving Gemini its second go, I must say, so with the Quentin Tarantino, it was Kill Bill Chapter 1 was the movie that it had selected for that Rams game. For this game, it agrees with us again. It has the Bears winning 23-20, and the film of choice is Pulp Fiction. This game has all the random, interwoven storylines and unexpected twists of a classic Tarantino anthology. We don't know who the hero is until the final scene. It will come down to a single critical moment in the fourth quarter. The Bears' pass rush will pressure Love all game, but the Packers' receiving core is one of the deepest in the league. For Green Bay, it's about holding on and getting to that one moment of clarity. As Jules Winfield once said, the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. The Bears' defense, especially their turnover-forcing secondary, has been the tyranny of evil men for opposing offenses. They forced Love into one critical mistake late in the game, ending Green Bay's season and finally giving the Bears faithful a playoff win against their most hated rival.
I am shocked by how much better this is. I take back anything I said about Google Gemini. Microsoft Copilot needs to fucking just put itself in 6 feet under and never come back because Google Gemini is blowing it out of the water.
Well, there you go. Moving on, we go to Sunday now. The early Sunday game, really interesting one. The Bills at the Jags, and we have another, for the third game in a row, a road favorite, which is the Bills 1-point favorites against the Jags. I guess I'll go first on this one. You and I both picked the Bills to make the Super Bowl. I think we both picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And I think I'm out. I think this is it. I don't think I can trust this as much as I don't really trust the Jags. They've been very good over the last few weeks. You're going to get a Trevor Lawrence mistake probably at some point, but they score points and their defense forces turnovers and is definitely a much better defense than what the Bills have. And this just feels like this is an entire Jags team against Josh Allen. And he will have to come up with a sort of superhero performance in order to get the Bills through. And the only thing that comes back the back of my mind is it's Trevor Lawrence and it's an inexperienced head coach and kind of an inexperienced team. And we've seen the Jags, like implode in playoff scenarios in the past. But based on their body of work over the course of this season, I don't understand how the Bills can be favorites. And I really just don't think I can trust them to deliver in a primetime game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can argue with from what you just said right there. I just think for me, I still kind of have to lean towards what you said, Josh Allen just outplaying the entire Jags. I'm willing to do it this round. So I think I think you're right in the Bills mostly it's Josh Allen, but I think you missed one key point, and that's James Cook, who's probably been one of the 3 best running backs in the NFL this year. And I think that ultimately will be the matchup of this game. James Cook, being one of the best rushers, is against the Jags defense, who is the top ranked rushing defense. And they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher this entire season, which is extremely impressive. So I think that's where this game is going to be won or lost. And I think if the Bills can at least get some production from Cook, it really allows Josh Allen to not put everything on him and open things up. But if they shut down Cook and it's just Allen having to do everything, can he do it? Yes. But is there a high potential that they can shut him down? I think yes. So I really think a lot of this actually does come down to the running game and Cook. The other big stat that I saw that was pretty astounding, and it's a low sample size. Sean McDermott has never won a road playoff game with the Bills. They are 0-5. In the 4 games that the Bills have been at home, they've allowed 19.8 points at home. So this is within the Josh Allen tenure. So a little under 20 yards a game they allow on 20 points a game on at home. On the road, 35 points per game. Their defense is not good on the road in playoff games. And that is a pretty scary stat there. And I understand this is multiple years, so it's not the same defense, but it is a lot of the same schemes and a lot of the same coordinators. So being on the road, I think, is a big factor for the Bills here. They obviously have a huge advantage when they are in Buffalo, but um, Trevor Lawrence has been good. You're right. He's been good this year, but I still just have to lean a little bit on Allen and Cook to lead this team in kind of a little bit of a shootout. I think this could be a 37-34 win for the Bills here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the counter, just to add some context to your stat, would be that they've played the road 4 times under McDermott, and 3 of those have been against the Chiefs. So
And
you're
the Chiefs are terrible, right?
now they are. And one of those was an overtime loss, so you're also expecting more points. But, you're getting, that's what's dragging that. The one time they haven't played the Chiefs, the one road game not against the Chiefs, the opposition only scored 22 points, but they lost 22-19. But yeah, it's
You know what's you know what's crazy? I was thinking, how is Lawrence in the playoffs? I thought that it doesn't seem it was 2022 when he played the Chargers and came back and beat them. I
yeah.
felt like that was the year after, but it was 2022 that he came back and beat Herbert 31-30 and had a pretty decent game. The second half he played really well. That first half he had 4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. So it was a kind of a tale of two halves. But then the
Yeah.
next game he played okay against the Chiefs. It wasn't a great game, but he wasn't the reason they lost against the Chiefs. They just lost because the Chiefs were better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, he's not disappointed in the playoffs so far. It's just a very, very limited sample size. And
Yeah.
since then, the gap between his last playoff performance and now, he's been extremely disappointing in most of his performances. So, that's the tough thing. But they won 8 in a row. As you pointed out, it's the best run defense in the NFL against the best run offense in the NFL. So it's, in classic NFL terms, it's the unstoppable force against the immovable object, and we have to decide who will
Nice.
win. Yeah. And I think I'm leading towards, I guess it's the immovable object.
Good verbiage.
Yes, thank you. I'll try and get some other classic NFL words. Maybe we can get some, about the X's and O's, not the Jimmys and Joes or whatever that saying is.
I don't know what that one is.
Google Gemini. Its pick for this movie is Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
This is a covert operation in hostile territory. The Bills are the bastards going into a place they aren't supposed
Wow,
to
that's mean.
supposed to succeed. Josh Allen is Colonel Landa, cunning, ruthless, and the single most terrifying threat on the field. The Jags, meanwhile, have a defense designed to frustrate and trap. But when Allen is locked in, there's no stopping him. He has the kind of sheer firepower that can burn down a stadium. this
Oh boy.
this team is going on a mission. And as Lieutenant Aldo Rain put it, you didn't get into the goddamn war to be a hero. You got in it to win. Allen is playing to win a championship, but not just a wild card game. He pulls a few rabbits out of his helmet, and the Bills escape with the victory. Bills 27, Jags 24.
Okay.
All right, moving
All in
on.
Josh Allen. Gemini loves Josh Allen.
Gemini
You know
loves
what?
Josh Allen.
Co-pilot Sam, big Joe Burrow fan. Google Gemini knows Joe Burrow's a bust now. He's all in on Josh Allen.
Well, now is the real test for Gemini, because we're going to find out how it feels about Brock Purdy, because the next game is at the Niners at the Eagles, and the Eagles are 6-point favorites.
I can start, and I'll be kind of quick, and I'll let you kind of give your take on how you feel about the Niners as a Niners fan. I don't know what to make of this game. This is two teams to me that throughout the year have confused and frustrated me. We've gone back and forth on the Eagles about 7 or 8 times this season on whether they're good, whether they're not good, whether that offense is good, whether it's a terrible offense, whether the coaching staff knows what they're doing. The bottom line is this is a team that won a Super Bowl last year and has a lot of that team back. And I don't think that you can win a Super Bowl the year before and come back this year and not have an idea of what it takes to win and what it takes to beat teams. I think the spread is a little much, and I lean towards the safe pick being the Eagles to win and the Niners to cover. But something about the Niners that I saw against the Bears is still stuck in my mind, and I've completely forgotten the next week when they played the Seahawks and looked terrible. But I think if the Niners can play like they did against the Bears, they will beat the Eagles, and I think they'd actually beat them pretty comfortably. It's just a matter of, can they get to that game again? That was the perfect Niners game I had seen in a long time. I am going to side with Shanahan, and I'm going to have my belief and my faith in Kyle Shanahan that he is going to come out and put together the perfect formula here and put up 30 plus points. I'm going to go with the Niners. I am not super confident they could come out and throw a turd ball like they did against the Seahawks and lose this game by 20 and just get. And the issue too, I think, is the Niners defense is not good, and I think their run defense in particular has not been good since Fred Warner's gone out. And there is a potential that Saquon Barkley could run for 200 yards in this game. He could have a massive game. But I'm going to go with the Niners to outlast the Eagles in a little bit of a shootout, maybe a 27-24 win.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because the last game, the focus is kind of the best thing the Bills do lines up against maybe the best thing that the Jags do. Here, I think it's a case of maybe the best thing the Eagles do lines up against one of the worst thing the Niners do, which is the Eagles secondary is terrifyingly fast and overall pretty good. And the Niners might be running out of wide receivers, especially Ricky Pearsall is questionable for this game. He hasn't practiced all week, but he likely will play some part, even if it's not, as involved as he might otherwise have been. So the key here, though, is the Eagles run a lot of man coverage. Purdy's actually excellent against man coverage. So he has a 61.7% completion rate against man coverage, has a net yard per attempt of 7.09. So, it's a strength for him, but it mostly relies on George Kittle against man coverage. So that's going to be the concern, is it just might be them relying on the run game and then feeding George Kittle, and then maybe nothing else will work. And we kind of saw that against the Seahawks, and it went really, really badly. So, yeah, I think I'm going to throw out the Seahawks game. It's just they were missing a few too many players, and the Seahawks defense is very, very good. And yeah, we have seen so many games from this Eagles team where their offense is just terrifyingly bad. And that's the thing. And I don't think the Niners offense has to be an A+ to beat the Eagles. I think it has to be a B. I think you have to avoid Brock Purdy will probably throw an interception because he almost always does, but you need to avoid the sort of catastrophic interception at the wrong time, kind of like what happened against the Seahawks, which is you're hanging in the game and you're maybe just about to punch it in for a crucial score, and then all of a sudden a momentum shift. But yeah, I just think if the Niners can get to 20, 24 points, then I think they're going to be in a really good place probably, because we've seen this Eagles team disappoint in big games multiple times throughout this season. So yeah, I'm going to pick the Niners, certainly with the points. I agree with you. I think 6 points is, and again, going back to the tease conversation, if you're starting to take the Niners plus 12, plus 13, I know now we're going to record next episode and it will be the Eagles have won by 20 points, but I certainly feel way more comfortable about that than I would about the Eagles just money line outright. But yeah, it's a good game. I think that the Eagles are heavier favorites than they should be, and I actually do think the Niners will win.
Now, does Gemini believe?
So Gemini has picked Jackie Brown for this one.
Oh.
This one is a slow burn, a methodical, tense heist where every move is calculated and the trust between players is everything. The Eagles have the home crowd, the veteran edge, and a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who thrives under pressure. The 49ers offense under coach Kyle Shanahan is a masterclass in scheme, setting traps for the defense. It's not about big plays, it's about control. And in a game this tight, experience and a cool head prevail. The Eagles are masters of the controlled, patient drive. We know that when the pressure is on, a leader needs to make the right move. And as Max Cherry wisely said, you're going to do what you got to do. The Eagles' veteran core is going to do what they got to do, run the ball, dominate the clock, and grind out a tough home victory. Eagles 22, Niners 19.
Oh, okay.
Up next, Sunday Night Football. Chargers at the Patriots. Patriots are 3.5 point favorites. I'll also say this. I think the Patriots should be heavier favorites here as well. Neither one of us are the biggest Drake May or Patriots fans in the world, but this is a Chargers team that has been inconsistent throughout the season, has struggled, has relied on the heroics of Herbert at different moments in time to get them through games. I see nothing about them that feels like a team that should be beating one of the better teams in the NFL in a playoff scenario. And I just think, like, I don't know, other than at the quarterback position, I don't know where the Chargers are better. And it just feels like this should be this is a nice matchup for the Patriots and should be a relatively comfortable victory.
Oh, this is my upset of the week, Eddie.
You just picked an upset.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I did pick an upset. This is my second upset of the week.
Actually, so far you've picked, and technically
every upset.
We picked the Bears as well, and he took the Bills. The only favorite you have winning so far is the Rams.
You know what? Let me put it this way. This is my favorite upset of the week. How about that?
Now, here's the thing is, we know in the next game you're picking the favorites because there's no way you're taking the Steelers. So
oh, just wait.
Okay. That would be your upset of the week because you'd be upsetting yourself.
I would be upsetting myself. I just throw my mic into the fucking wall. I'm going to take the Chargers here. I am still, you know what? I have more faith in Indiana being a legitimate team than I do the Patriots being a legitimate team. You know, I was hesitant most of the college football season that Indiana was real and legit, and then they have gone out and beat really good teams. The Patriots, on the other hand, have not beaten good teams. I mean, I think everyone now who has an Instagram account has seen all the stats that basically they have like one win against the playoff team this season. The Giants have more wins against playoff teams than the Patriots do this season. They are better than that. I think that is a stat that is an indication of their schedule, not of their true talent. I mean, you can only play the teams that you're scheduled to play. They just had a pretty easy schedule, but I don't know yet if Drake May is a good big game playoff winner yet. And I know Herbert has had that knock his entire life as well, but I think this is Herbert's time to shine and not Drake May's time to shine. The Chargers haven't looked good the past few games, but Herbert literally had a broken hand And his quote the other day was, "I definitely say not taking hits on it last week was probably pretty helpful." So he's definitely feeling a little better. That was week 13 that he fractured his hand. So it's been about 6 weeks now, 5, 6 weeks. So hopefully that's pretty well recovered. He looked a lot better last week. I think he was doing everything he could to win that game last week and or 2 weeks ago, or was that last week? I can't remember. Did they? Yeah, because they 2 weeks ago because they sat their starters last week. Um, the big thing about the Patriots offense is they like to go deep. Y- y- Drake May has a very nice deep ball. They love to just give those deep throws and hit on 40-yard passes. The Chargers defense is one of the lowest in the NFL at allowing deep passes, and their average yards per completion, their defense that they give up is only 5. It's the third lowest in the NFL. So they do that by putting a lot of the too high safeties, pretty much what everyone did to the Chiefs to start to shut down the Chiefs whenever, they were really great at throwing deep balls. So I think this is a bad matchup for the Patriots defensively because this is a team that is built to stop those long balls and make the Patriots grind out drives. And I think on the other side of the ball, the Chargers have a good run game. The Pats have a terrible run defense. And I think you're going to get a lot of, similar to what I said about the Rams, I think you're going to get a lot of run and a lot of play action off that run. I think it's going to be pretty successful against the Patriots defense. So I think the Chargers are going to pull off an upset here.
All right. Well, a game we really strongly disagree on. Just to counter one of your stats, though, too. I mean, the Chargers have only beaten 3 playoff teams over the course of the season.
Well, the Patriots beaten 1.
Yeah, but arguably the Chargers have had a lot more opportunity to play playoff teams, and the playoff teams the Chargers have beaten, I mean, they beat the Steelers, so in your mind, probably the least impressive of any win you could have against a playoff team. Then they beat the Eagles, but that was in that weird overtime game that the Eagles really should have won on multiple occasions, and that was when Herbert's broken hand was at its very worst. And then at the very beginning of the season, they beat the Broncos.
So they've beaten the 1 seed and a 3 seed.
Yeah, okay, and where are the Steelers? But yeah, it's still I agree it counts, but it was a weird, that could easily have been, kind of limping by the Eagles. That could have been a 2-win team against a 1-win team, again, in terms of playoff opponents. But yeah, who knows? I mean, Herbert, is the best player on the field, so can he be the difference maker? I don't think so. And Gemini has picked Reservoir Dogs for this game.
Ooh.
Oh, no, that's
You know
the
what?
next game. I take that back.
Uh,
Pick Death Proof for this one.
wow. Okay.
This is a road trip gone wrong for the Chargers. They've got the horsepower with Herbert, but they're pulling into a Patriots defense that is the definition of a stuntman Mike. Unforgiving, brutal, and ready to crash the party. The New England defense will be looking to put a hit on Herbert every single snap. In the face of that kind of violence, sometimes all you can do is stand your ground. As the iconic stuntman Mike noted before one of his disastrous final acts, the only thing you can do is just wait and watch. The Patriots defense will wait, watch, and then pounce. They force multiple turnovers and turn this into a physical mismatch, riding their dominant ground game and defense to the divisional round. Patriots 24, Chargers 13.
What the fuck does Gemini know? You know what I also love about Gemini right now? They're trying to give us some of the deep cuts with Tarantino. If this were co-pilot Sam, they'd be like, "Once upon a time in Hollywood." This one also once upon a time in Hollywood. But Gemini, they're pulling off some of the older movies, some of the classics. I like it.
Yeah. Um,
Is the next one Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
no, it isn't. I mean, the advantage, actually not mentioned. I mean, the advantage you have with Tarantino movies, there's not that many to choose from. So, they're, uh, they kind of got to play the hits because he only has 10 movies, 9 movies, Tarantino. We're doing,
Yeah.
you got to almost pick them all over the course of this preview. But no, it is not Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The thing I will give it credit for, it does write in clearer sentences. So for me, like cold reading what it's previewed, it's actually a little bit easier to do. With Copilot, it's almost impossible for me to speak like a human whilst reading what it's writing.
Eddie, don't defend Copilot. This is clear. Copilot is fucking sitting the bench for life
Well,
now.
let's see how accurate Gemini now is. All right, final Monday Night Football. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of the Monday night game in the divisional round. I would prefer to have 3 Saturday games and 3 Sunday games, and I think that would just be the better way to go about it. Like
Samesies.
and I also and we've discussed this previously too, it feels like such a disadvantage that a team is gonna play on Monday and then have to play either a team that's coming off a bye or a team that's played with at least
Yeah.
24 hours of additional rest. Like, that feels unnecessary when you're going into a playoff scenario. We have the Texans at the Steelers, and no. Yes. Yes, sorry. Confused myself because of the Steelers' record and not thinking that they could possibly be hosting a home playoff game. The Texans are road favorites. So, in the end, we've got 6 games, 3 road favorites, 3 road underdogs. Texas are 3-point favorites against the Steelers.
Yeah, I I can make this quick. I don't love to take the Texans, but I have to take the Texans. Not only because I don't believe in the Steelers, but I genuinely think that Texans defense is so good that they might shut the Steelers out. You have a mid 40-year-old quarterback who does not like getting hit or even pressured going against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, who have 30 sacks combined as a group. They are going to be all over him. And the only saving grace that the Steelers have and that Rodgers in general has is they are, I think, fast as the NFL with like time to throw. So 2.6 seconds and that ball's out super quick. And Rodgers is great at that. I mean, he's lived half a career off of, those quick slant routes and out routes. The only problem is he's throwing against Stingley and Lassiter, who are two of the best cornerbacks also in the NFL. So they are going to know that and they're going to be all over that and jumping those balls left and right. So I just think this defense is set up absolutely perfectly to dismantle the Steelers offense. And I think on the other side of the ball, the Texans offense, while not great, will do enough to score and win this 21-14. I think even 21 would be enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that in the end, the Texans defense is going to be the difference maker. And their offense, whilst it struggled over the last final couple weeks of the season, we saw enough from CJ Stroud in that offense to believe that they can kind of deliver when it matters. And again, a little bit like the 49ers, I'm choosing to throw out sort of a couple of performances there. For the Steelers, there was nothing down the stretch. They got wins in unlikely fashion, but like that does not look like a team that you can trust in big scenarios. So yeah, I'll take the Texans to win and the Texans to cover. This might make you change your mind on Gemini, though, because it's picking the Steelers to win 17-16. The movie
Ooh,
is Reservoir Dogs, as I tipped.
okay. Good
A
movie.
gritty, claustrophobic showdown where every character is desperate, dangerous, and a few turns short of crazy. This is going to be a knife fight in a phone booth. The Steelers' defense is known for being unyielding, and frankly mean. The Texans' offense is flashy, but they haven't faced this kind of playoff caliber grit on the road. The drama will be high, the emotions intense. This game is going to go to the wire, and you know who's going to make the difference. The man in the middle, TJ Watt. In a tense situations, sometimes you just need to follow the plan, no matter how simple. As Mr. Blonde coolly stated, I said I got a dog. He killed a girl today. The Steelers have a dog in their defense, and they will unleash them. TJ Watt gets a strip sack late to seal the low-scoring, highly physical win for Pittsburgh.
Wow. A specific late game call. I love it. Good on
Yes.
you, Gemini. I
Yeah,
was
and
hoping it was gonna be Django Unchained, and they were gonna make
oh
Aaron
boy.
Rodgers Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Yeah, they could a little risk with the quotes from that movie. In
I
fairness,
thought he was gonna be Calvin Candy and just get
picking
brutally murdered.
picking Tarantino for the movie in which I've given it the instruction of picking quotes is actually kind of risky in terms of the possibilities there of Gemini getting itself canceled. All right, so we can now move on to the making our predictions, kind of running through the playoffs. So I'm going to bring up to make life really, really easy for you. You will now see
Oh,
on my
what
screen.
what'll fix the brackets and stuff for us?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So I'll just quickly run through, assuming you're not gonna change your mind over anything. You have the Chargers beating the Patriots.
Oh, no, I'll take the Patriots then.
You have the Bills beating the Jags, and you have the Texans beating the Steelers in the
Fuck, I
AFC.
don't like my Patriots pick anymore looking at this.
In the NFC, you have the Bears beating the Packers, and you have the Niners beating the Eagles, and the Rams beating the Panthers. So that means in the divisional round, you would
Oh,
have the
fuck.
Chargers at the Broncos.
Oh, God. I don't
Who's your
like
pick
this at
there?
all. Oh, shit. Uh, Go back to that one. Let's start somewhere else.
Okay, we'll start in the NFC then.
Thank you.
In the divisional round, you'd have the Niners at the Seahawks.
Give me the Niners in a revenge win.
Wow. And then you would have the Rams at the Bears.
That's a great game. Give me the Rams.
Okay. And then you can't escape it. You now have the Chargers at the Broncos.
Give me the Broncos. Sorry,
And
Herbert.
and the
I
Bills
I believe.
and the Bills at the Texans.
Bills.
So now in the championship games, you have the Bills at the Broncos.
Give me the Bills.
The 6th seed going all the way to the Super Bowl. And then
Hey, if
well,
there's
it's
a
good.
year to do it, if there was a year to do it,
And the Niners at the Rams.
give me the Rams.
So a 6 seed playing a 5 seed in the Super Bowl,
This is the
and
year.
the Bills against the Rams in San Francisco. Your pick is?
Rams.
Okay. I will
Oof, I don't love
do
that. I don't
so
love that.
so I have the Patriots winning, I have the Jags winning, and I have the Texans winning in the divisional round of the AFC, and then I have the Bears, the Niners, and the Rams. That means the next round I have the Texans at the Broncos, and I will pick the Broncos. I then have the Jags at the Patriots, and I will pick the Patriots. I have the Niners at the Seahawks.
Gotta believe.
I'll pick the Niners this one. And the
Yeah.
Rams at the Bears, and I will also pick the Rams. And then Patriots, Broncos.
I
I'm gonna
don't like
take the
either of those
Broncos.
teams.
Neither do I. And I'm gonna pick the Rams to beat the Niners, and I'm also gonna pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl.
Rams, Broncos. Wow. That'd be an interesting Super Bowl too.
Yeah, so it's true. We kinda get to the even in the divisional round, there's some teams there that I start not liking really, really fast.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy. Like when you actually look at it, how yeah, how non-confident I am in every team that's there. Like
Yeah.
because like even the Chargers Broncos. I mean, you alluded to it when we discussed the Chargers. They beat the Broncos once already. Like eh, the Broncos aren't a the Broncos aren't a number one seed in the sense of number one seeds we've been used to over the years. They are not like, oh, this is the Chiefs at home with Mahomes in the prime of his career. Like, you're not fucking beating them. Forget it. Like, this is
Yeah.
a team where it's like, yeah, they've got Bo Nix and pretty good defense. Like, oh, is that super scary? I don't know.
Yeah, and nor same with the Seahawks, who are definitely have been
Yeah.
more convincing at times, and especially there was that point in the season where they were just scoring 35 points by halftime every game, and that feels different. But then we saw them a couple of weeks ago. Yes, they had a very good performance against the 49ers, but still their offense sort of stuttered throughout that, which is not super convincing. And
I,
then we saw
I
them
mean, what's
against the
crazy is,
Rams. Like they should have lost that game to the Rams by 2 touchdowns, in which case the Rams are now the 1 seed, like that was the difference maker.
yeah.
It's yeah.
It's actually pretty crazy when you think about how similar both the one seeds are in the AFC and NFC. I mean,
Mm,
two very, very good, strong defenses from well coached defensive coaches with an offense that at times can look very good, but at times you question whether they are actually a legitimately good offense. And both with quarterbacks that you don't fully trust, especially in big playoff games. I mean, maybe, yeah. I'll stop at that. I was going to maybe give Darnold the benefit of the doubt, but I still don't really trust Darnold in a big playoff game yet. So very,
yeah,
very similar one seeds, like almost identical teams.
yeah, I agree with you. All
And
right,
then
well, I
once you get
guess
past that, like even the like it's crazy. Think about this: the Patriots and the Bears are your two seeds this year. That's crazy.
No, it is for sure, and we're missing the kind of proven pedigree of the Chiefs, which has been just such a dominant
Yeah.
factor over the last, well, nearly a decade. So,
Or even the Eagles too. I mean, I could at the same I think if the Eagles beat the Niners, I think the Eagles make the Super Bowl.
all right, should we re-pick it? And you
No, no,
can
no, let's not repick it. No, 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 no. But I'm
no,
just
let's
saying
just see if I play it out. Do I feel better if I pick the Bills and then you pick the Texans? And do I feel better if it's the Bears? Do I feel better if it's the Packers that go through, the Eagles that go through, and the Rams? That does make me feel a lot better about the NFC. So if you pick the Packers to win, if the wild card is the Packers winning, the Eagles winning, and the Rams winning, and then you end up with divisional matchups of Packers against the Seahawks and Rams against the Eagles, that feels closer to what we thought it would be at the beginning of the season, which is
yeah,
somehow reassuring and comforting, even though based on what we've seen over the course of the season, shouldn't really be. But it
yeah,
then feels a bit more like, okay, I can live with this. The AFC, I think, no matter how you split it,
it's
is
a
uncomfortable.
clusterfuck.
It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable viewing
Yes.
because you're going to end up with some team, potentially two or three teams in the divisional round who you really don't have that much confidence in.
Yeah. Agreed. And interestingly, I know this is now we're really doing what ifs, but if instead of the Steelers, you had in there the Ravens, and
I
then
feel
the
better.
Ravens beat the Texans, then
Yeah.
you have the Ravens in the next round and you feel a little better,
I could talk
even though
myself
the
into them.
Ravens suck by everything we've watched.
Yeah, yeah, but
I
I could
still it yes.
yeah, I could talk myself into
In a
like
big game situation, I can talk
yeah,
myself into
like
thinking that they
Lamar
can
in the
like
playoffs, he's not
yeah,
that
exactly.
bad. Like
Although
aside
he
from
is.
yeah, well, aside from when he's playing the two best teams in football, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I do genuinely think I know this is a stupid thing to say, but if the Eagles beat the Niners this week, I I think the Eagles make the Super Bowl. Like, because for me, I think the Niners are actually one of the better teams in the NFC, and if the Eagles are like, if the Eagles get out of this regular season funk and they get back to, like we're the team that won the Super Bowl last year and this is how we do it, and they go out and win, I think they will have the right mindset and game plan, and I think they make it to the Super Bowl. But I don't know if I still don't fully trust that they can click back into that mode yet.
Yep, I agree with that. Now, as we move out of sport, one last sporting topic I just want to mention, which is, there's a debate every year: should the Monday after the Super Bowl be a national? Should it be a public holiday? Well,
The whole week should be at this point.
someone who's probably listened to that debate is the first minister of Scotland, John Swinney, who has proposed that the day after Scotland play their opening match of the World Cup this summer should be a bank holiday because it will be
Oh,
the
awesome.
first time that Scotland have played a match in the World Cup since 1998,
I
and
love it.
I think it's a Sunday. And the idea is that his proposition is that everyone should be able to enjoy that experience as much as they possibly can.
Great. I love that. That is a leader who is looking out for his people.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Other note, actually, the one stat I did have to wrap up our NFL coverage, the firing of Pete Carroll does mean that next season, the Las Vegas Raiders, I don't know if you saw this, but will already be spending $50 million on head coaches. This is before they hire a new one because that is between the last five coaches that they have hired and fired, they still will owe $50 million in salary next season.
They are still paying John Gruden.
Yeah, $10 million.
It feels like decades ago that John Gruden was coaching the Raiders, and they are still fucking paying him. The Raiders are the worst fucking organization in football. It is insane how bad they are.
Yeah. And also
What
speaking of the
what's the list
Raiders,
again? It's because I can't even name half the coach. It's got to be Gruden, McDaniels,
Chip Kelly,
Carroll. Oh, Chip
Pete
Kelly.
Carroll,
Fuck yeah.
and who was the other one?
Pierce. Was it Antonio Pierce the coach?
Antonio Pierce, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about Chip Kelly though. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
he's
Fucking Chip Kelly. He's probably getting money from 4 different places right now.
what a life being the fired coach of an NFL team and just still getting because that works out. For example, also, I saw the statistic that this means, um Jim Harbaugh next season. I'm not going to be able to find it, but it's that he will be paid $50,000 a day by the Ravens. Something along those lines. It's nice. Nice work if you can get it or not get it, I suppose. And the other thing to say as we were making our playoff prediction, have you seen the Pope Seahawks correlation?
No.
2005, a new Pope was elected, and the Seahawks won 13 games and then made it to the Super Bowl. 2013, a new Pope was elected. The Seahawks won 13 games and then won the Super Bowl. And then this season, a new Pope was elected. The Seahawks won 13 games. So by that basis, if the trend continues, the Seahawks should at least make it to the Super Bowl.
Are we sure this isn't a conclave conspiracy? Are the Seahawks responsible for
Maybe.
previous Pope passings?
Maybe. It's possible. I don't want to rule it out. And then also, as we were talking about the importance of those seedings, like I saw that breakdown of, basically the Broncos and the Patriots did have identical records heading into this playoffs, and you have the Broncos getting the 1 seed and the bye. All of that came down to because they were tied on their record 14-3, their head-to-head record, they didn't play each other, which is the second tiebreaker. Their wins within conference was also identical. They were both 9-3, so it all came down to wins against common opponents, and the common opponent that tipped the balance was the Patriots losing to the Raiders in week 1.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Shows you how important those seemingly meaningless games can turn out to be. All right. I guess that's finishes up our sports coverage, so we can now move on to our reaction to episode 1 of season 2 of The Pitt. So I guess if you haven't watched it yet, you can skip the remainder of this episode because it's all we're going to speak about.
Go watch it.
Yeah, and if you
wait,
haven't watched
real quick though, actually, before we talk about The Pitt, then, so we don't lose people if we're having another discussion, you did want me to bring up Landman, and that I have, I'm an avid watcher of avid, right? Yeah, watcher of Landman. I am not a huge Taylor Sheridan fan. I don't like Yellowstone. I don't like the other ones, the spin-offs of the Yellowstones. Taylor Sheridan as a director for movies, Sicario's probably my favorite fucking movie of the past 15 years. But his TV shows are a little soap opera-y and propaganda-y, so I don't watch them as much. But Landman is probably the best, worst television show I've ever watched. It is completely unhinged. It is a clusterfuck of randomness that I don't even know how it's possible to put on screen. I couldn't tell you what it's about other than it's about a guy who is part of like an oil company. He's now the president of running an oil company, but like the inner workings of like what the show truly means or the themes, like I have no fucking clue. It's out there. The character portrayals are so like one-dimensional but yet so funny at the same time. It's amazing. It's like it's must-watch television because it's like it's like a bomb going off every episode. You don't know what to expect.
So I wanted you to bring this up, not because I really want to speak about Landman, but because you were setting the table for me to speak about a topic that I think may upset you, which is, as you know, and long-term listeners of the podcast will know, I enjoy watching a lot of TV shows and movies through sort of 3-minute clips on YouTube. Oftentimes, I will never watch a TV show or never watch a movie, but I will just watch the 10 scenes that appear on YouTube and feel like I've watched it as a result. Sometimes when I will kind of rewatch a show through the clip process when I don't really want to commit to actually rewatching it. And the show that the algorithm has made me decide that I wanted to kind of rewatch was Peaky Blinders. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been watching quite a lot of Peaky Blinders clips. I'm not sure Peaky Blinders was that good of a show after rewatching a lot of the clips. It's super corny at times. The music usage is incredibly jarring. A lot of the acting is a little questionable. And the lines, it's honestly, I would encourage. I was a big Peaky Blinders fan. I enjoyed watching it in the moment. It might not, history might not be kind to Peaky Blinders. There's some shows that hold up when you go back and rewatch. not to steal the concept of a very popular podcast, I'm not sure Peaky Blinders is the one.
I haven't rewatched it, so I guess I can't comment on that. But no, I think it was always a little fan servicey in like trying to be a little too cool, that kind of
Yeah,
mentality. But with some of the lines being a little corny and like with a picky fucking blinders, that kind of stuff. Like they always had to throw that in
yes.
there.
Yeah, by order of the Peaky Blinders, it
Yeah,
doesn't it's not great. Look,
yeah.
I
But
think
no, it was a great show. The first few seasons were great. It got a little weird at the end when they started like when
taking over the
started
world.
trying to become like prime minister. Yeah, like, it got a little strange, but it was
It's
the first few
it's tou
seasons are good.
It's tough. I think in the moment, you're swept up by the story. It was a good show on TV in a moment in time when there maybe weren't that many great TV shows. I think the quality of TV now is better. That was the kind of 2010s. There was that
Yeah,
lull. We were caught between the end of maybe the golden period in television with shows like The Wire, Sopranos, Deadwood, like all of those shows that burst onto the scene, and then we were waiting for that next generation of shows to appear. And I think Peaky Blinder was right place, right time to get a lot more credit than it probably deserved. And as you rewatch it, like Cillian Murphy is good in it. He nails it. Like a lot of the key characters, the actors, I think, do a very good job of portraying them. But the lines, there are some incredibly corny ones. It's hard to get over. Season 1, they abandoned it. Season 1 onwards, they abandoned it. The corniness of the concept that they have razor blades on their caps that they're using to slash people with, which is so stupid. Like, we've spoken about that previously on the podcast, but that's so dumb. There's a lot of things in the show where you're like, I don't know. I don't know if this was good. And I think it's fine to say I liked it. I would still tell someone to watch it,
oh for
but
sure.
here would be my thing now.
Is this a little bit of you doing revisionist history because now it is such a loved show that you
no,
want to be on the other side of, you don't
no,
want to be
I'm
with
not.
the majority of people? Because
No,
this
I'm
is a
not.
common theme of you.
No, I'm not just playing devil's advocate, which is something I
As soon as
do.
something becomes popular, Eddie's anti that thing.
That's not quite true. I'm not,
It's
but
close.
there's a lot of popular things I love, including The Pit. I'm all in on The Pit, and it's as popular as any show on TV, I think, at the moment, or at least gets as popularity. Who knows? It gets
It
rave reviews everywhere. Like it may
it's
not
still
have the
not very
viewership.
popular. At least this is obviously anecdotally for me, but like I would say the majority of people I talk to have not seen The Pit. Like I go day in and day out being like, you watch The Pit? Have you seen The
Okay,
Pit? Like, are you watching every day?
how much are you bringing The Pit up?
Every day, 5 times a day, I'm bringing The Pit up, and 4 out of 5 times people are saying, "Oh, I heard it's good, but I haven't watched it."
Okay,
I'm trying to spread The Pit love.
clearly, but yeah, it's yeah, Peaky Blinders. I think if I told someone to watch it, if I made that recommendation, they then watched it and then told me like, I don't think it's that great. I think I'd now have to say, I get it. Maybe you had to be there. Maybe you had to be in the moment. But
Next you're gonna
whereas
tell me Prison Break wasn't that good.
I was never a Prison Break person. But if I told someone to watch Deadwood and they came back to me and said, or The Sopranos, which I think also when you rewatch The Sopranos, there are some episodes or storylines that like if you could go back and re-edit the show, you'd maybe cut out. But
Yeah.
still the overall body of work of The Sopranos is excellent. Same with The Wire. If I told someone to watch The Wire who'd never watched The Wire and then they came back to me and said, I don't think it's that good, I would j- seriously have to judge their ability to watch television.
I might have to
But
go back and hate watch Deadwood.
uh, try. It's Shakespeare of the television. It's amazing. It's the best show ever made.
I love it.
Anyway, moving on to The Pit. My interesting first take with The Pit. Season 1 of The Pit started off with an incredibly gory episode and then kind of dropped a lot of the gore. If you recall, like it kind of went right in with hardcore gore and you thought like, "Oh no, is this how this show is going to be?" Which is, like hard to watch. I was watching last night. I was watching it as I ate. The opening of the show is maybe not the ideal start that you want as you're sort of eating some meat. So is this gonna be the same? Like, are they gonna do they start off they sort of is that a sort of warning shot across the bows of, "Hey, if you don't like gore, not the show for you," but it's gonna get a little easier?
You think season 2 what you're saying is this opener
I
was
thi
just as
I
gory
I think we just I can't
or
really
just
remember
as
exactly how it was the leg being reset or something in episode 1, season 1, wasn't it? Or like the
or was it when they flanged the guy's skin, for his
yes.
lungs? Was that episode
So
1 or episode
yeah,
2?
but
I think it was
it
pretty gory throughout. It was a little less the last few.
yeah,
Well, no, because they had the whole, the whole
mass shooting.
gunshot thing. That was pretty
It
gruesome.
wasn't that bad though. Those were just mostly gunshots. This was pretty up there in terms of just opening a guy's chest up, kinda cracking through the chest bone, and sort
That
of
was pretty gross.
flipping the
The lung over.
lungs. That's there was a lot of gore there. I mean, the only thing that covered up it was just a lot of blood at times, so you kind of there's no gore to a certain moment because you can't really
Yeah.
see anything anymore.
The mopping up of the blood afterwards is probably one of the more grosser parts when you have the nurse just with, with a towel full of blood
S
dripping.
Something you don't think about.
No, it's
So
true.
someone's just gotta go in there and just mop blood up before someone else goes in.
Yeah. No, I think they'll be just as realistic, as they were in season 1 with how traumatizing, an ER can be. And I guess the word's gory, but, it's a different it's not like a horror gore, right? It's a different type of gore. It's like a realistic, truthful, representation of what's going on in the hospital. But yeah, it was a little much, but I don't mind it. Um, I was also eating lunch when I watched it, or actually eating breakfast for the first half and then eating lunch for the second half. That's when I got to watch it. But yeah, I like that part of the show. I like that they like to show it and you get to actually see what's happening. Like, I think it's pretty cool when he flips the lung because I mean, for people who maybe have never seen body parts before, maybe that's the first time you ever saw it and been like, oh, so that's kind of the size of a lung. Like, you kind of have to two hand it a little bit, like it's very informative, if anything.
Yeah, but, okay. From there, we can move on. Got a couple new characters.
Yep. Good first episode, I think. I think
Oh,
it did exactly kind of what the first episode of the first season did, is where you just enter in. Actually, what I really liked, and I don't know if they did it in the first episode of season 1. I think they did a little bit, but they went a little further with it this time, is kind of uh following him in on his shift and just seeing the hallways he walks through, and that he actually walks through the sick part of the hospital where the waiting room is, and kind of gives a little pre-look to kind of see what he's got to keep an eye out for, what he should be expecting, and then kind of walks through the hallways and does his little look of some of the plaques and stuff, and how that maybe motivates him in the day. And I thought that was a cool little intro of kind of just the first 4 minutes just following him, and then as soon as he enters in, it's he doesn't even take his coat off, he's talking to patients with a Carhartt jacket on, which I think is kind of cool. And it's happened. I've been in ERs and a doctor has come in with street clothes on because they have just started, and they get right into it at times. It's so realistic. I love it.
you sure that was a doctor?
No, it
Or was
wasn't.
it
But
just
no, but he stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, so it was the same.
Were you in a hospital? This is question number 1. This is just you hallucinating and asking for medical consultations from a guy in a Starbucks. Like
Hey, listen, I've been in ER a few times recently.
Oh, was it ER or was it American Eagle? I can't quite it could have been shit. Maybe I made a huge mistake.
See, now here's the funny part. When I went to American Eagle, they were all dressed in scrubs.
Yeah. You were like, "Oh, no, this is very much like a doctor's thing. There's a guy walking around with a big, Dunkin' Donuts, cup." Which yeah, no, yeah, like, it's good. I do like this sort of single shot movement through the hallways and stuff. It does make you feel very immersed in the experience, and kind of yeah, it makes you both appreciate some of the chaos, and also just I think how tight everything is. You get a sense that it's actually not that big of a space, and they're not dealing with the luxury of a lot of beds. My big question coming out of we'll have lots of things to discuss. One of the thing, my biggest, like the homeless man who is just stinking up the waiting room section, and then eventually gets taken to the shower. What stage in your acting career do you feel like you're at when you see the description for a part where it's like emaciated, possible homeless man slash drug addict, and you're like, that's the part for me. You know what? I can nail that. They're gonna cut to a scene of my naked behind, and people are gonna go, yeah, that guy does look like he lives on the street and probably does a lot of drugs. Like that's gonna be, I'm gonna be right. I'm gonna be perfect for it.
Now, yeah, I will counter this by saying, do you change your opinion if someone says, "But it's the pit"? Like, does
Oh, I
that
still
maybe
want to be in
swing you?
it.
Yeah, like if someone comes to you and is like, "Hey, do you want to play a disgusting homeless guy who gets naked and showers bare ass in a TV show?" And you're like, no, I can't do that." What if I told you it's the pit? Fuck it, sign me up.
Oh, yeah, I would still wanna be in it. There's not a part that I've really seen so far. There's some, like,
If you told
negative
me that was like a
ones.
PBS like mockumentary,
Yeah.
like a low budget,
Yes.
like made to TV thing, it's like, you know what? Maybe I'm not maybe I'm not gonna be a famous actor. This isn't gonna sway it.
Well, I don't think this is your entry point to being a famous actor either. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's seeing that and be like, "Get that guy for my next movie."
How
Quentin
here's a
Tarantino
great
is not.
question. How many roles do you think that guy's had in his career? That's a great question.
Oh,
Do you think he's like one of the people who's on like he's been in
CSI,
5 episodes of Law& and
Law& and
Order,
Order.
every
Yes,
CSI? Do you
yes.
think it's over under 30?
Oh, it's over under 300 probably. This is a guy
Okay.
who's probably like homeless man number 3 in 57 episodes of Law& and Order, who like sometimes kinda good guy who's like sort of schizophrenic, but is telling them like, "No, no, no, I saw the little girl get abducted." And then sometimes he's sort of a bad guy. I think he's probably a regular. He's probably the go-to guy in Hollywood when you want emaciated homeless man.
Okay, so this actor is getting a special shout out. It is Charles Baker as Troy Digby. That's the character on the show is Troy. Uh,
You know what I give the Pitt
uh,
credit for? That's a classy move. Got a real name. Didn't just go stinky homeless guy. Actually gave him it's a full character.
he is he is an American actor or director. He is best known for playing Skinny Pete on the TV show Breaking Bad. He's also had a
Really?
reoccurring role on The Blacklist.
Oh, that's that guy?
He
Okay.
reprised his role of Skinny Pete in the film El Camino.
Yeah, that's a relatively decent part then.
Yep. He was in the movie Wild. He was cast as a Mandalorian on The Mandalorian.
Wow. I'll take it back. This feels like an incredibly small part for that guy.
Yeah,
But
but
maybe
he has been in he's been in like Mayor of Kingstown for an episode,
yeah.
1883, CSI Vegas, Perry Mason, The Rookie, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Grimm,
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a
Colony,
decent.
Chicago PD.
But here's the thing too, is I guess this is a tough thing with the Pit, is that might feel like it's a somewhat superfluous character to that episode, but it may be because we're dealing with a single day in a hospital, maybe that
So maybe he's in it more.
he's actually a reasonably, like, not significant, but he may feature in every
Yeah,
episode of the season in some
like
way.
the
So
alcoholic that they have to drain
his belly, yeah.
his belly. Yeah, but yeah, shout
Now
out
how's
to
that
Charles
guy?
Baker.
Would you like to be the lovable alcoholic in a TV show where it's just like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
why
he's
not?
back. He's
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
killing
I'll
himself,
show him how
but
to do it. I love
he's a
that
good
part when
guy."
he's like, I've never done that before. He's like, I'll show him, Doc. Don't worry. He gives the classic "What's up, Doc" line too in the
Yeah.
episode. I love that. There's always a guy that like is at a hospital that does that.
Now, thinking of, this is a TV show that gets kind of universally praised by doctors for as being one of the more realistic portrayals of sort of the actual ER experience. Do you think there have been doctors who've tried to adopt the Pitt moment of silence post-death approach,
Mm.
like, and then who just get ridiculed by, like if you're in there and someone goes, "Yeah, I suggest to you, hey, Frank, let's give this guy a bit of humanity. He was someone's son, someone potentially someone's father, someone's friend. Let's just have a moment of silence and sort of pay our respects to him. And you like, stop watching fucking TV and let's go save the next guy.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm sure there are actually a lot of hospitals that do that because I mean, most of this stuff is
Yeah.
rooted in truth, so they probably found that somewhere, and did it. But yeah, it would be kind of funny if people start adapting like Pitt-like things in the ER. Hey, I'm gonna start wearing this ankle bracelet, this ankle monitor.
Now that's the question. So that character, I cannot remember her name. Her sort of
Dr.
story,
McKay.
yeah, her story of the episode, she's dealing with a guy who's concussed or seemingly
Oh
concussed,
yeah,
who's complaining of he's sort of fallen over, hurt his nose, looks like he's broken his wrist. Early on, she has suspicions that he's hurt his head because he seems slightly disoriented at times. And then to the very end of the episode, he's complaining about his knee being hurt. She goes to look at his knee and then sort of recoils in horror.
well, it almost looks like he tried to kick her or something.
I get, I
I didn't
guess,
fully understand it.
yeah, like I didn't quite. And then it turns out, I mean, he's completely disoriented to the
Yes,
point where it's unclear now whether it's a concussion or he has some kind of
like
psychiatric
early
problem.
onset dementia or
Yes,
yeah, or
like
like
something like it's
yeah,
probably more serious than it was. Then, it's not just a case of being a bit confused, but that interaction to me was slightly odd. Like I didn't quite
yeah.
get how that went.
At first, like when it directly happened, I thought he kind of tried to attack her and kick her, and that like scared her. But then it really wasn't that. I don't think, but maybe it still was. So I'm a little confused what's going on there. That's definitely an episode 2
Yeah.
clarification needed.
Maybe he also has an ankle bracelet. Maybe he's
Maybe.
part of the club. The the
So
the the
good.
one thing I do wish the show had kind of done, and maybe it did at the very beginning and missed it, it did it through conversation. I wish we'd known exactly how long had passed between the previous season and this one. Like,
They do. They mention it.
we
I
find
think
out
they
through
said it's
conversation because with
yeah
the
through
doctor
conversation.
returning from rehab, and he says he's been in rehab for 8 months or whatever it is, you're
Is it
sort
either
of
like it's either 7 or 9 months, right? Isn't that what it is?
you're kind of finding out, but I do kind of wish it tells us it's the 4th of July, but it's sort of contingent then on us really knowing when season 1 ended, which I guess if you watch the show, we'd probably know the exact day that the season 1 was
Yeah.
on. Like, we could easily figure that out, but I do wish it had said 4th of July, 8 months since the shooting or something, along those lines, so we at least have that in mind.
It did say it in regards to I think the doctor who was on who got kicked out for the drugs. I think it says like, oh, he's like, it's been 9 months since you've been here or something like that. Because yeah, it's a 10-month gap because the season 1 was Labor Day, and then now this one is July 4th. So basically September through July. They survived a Pittsburgh winter.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Now
see Dr. Ravi ride that fucking motorcycle on the bridge when it's fucking icy and -20 in Pittsburgh and raining and snowing.
they do make we spoke about in season 1. I think this is good PR for hospitals and for doctors because it does seem it does make them appear extremely competent overall and also sort of really nice. Like, even the slightly unlikable characters still feel genuinely like quite nice people who do care
Mhm.
about their patients. Like, there's no one who just completely is checked out. The only one who maybe is approaching that is the intern, the sort of Asian girl who feels as if she
Yeah,
doesn't have
what's
much
going on with her?
that's which feels a little bit of a shift away from the kind of main approach, but
But maybe she's gonna get humbled. She's definitely getting set up to, like, have, like, a heel turn moment.
maybe. But the one thing I would say is the men in the show overwhelmingly do come across as, like, really very nice, even with a doctor who has the drug problem. He still seems like a really good guy, just had a drug problem. The women, they do sometimes make feel like a lot bitchier. Like, there's a lot more
Harder. They're
yeah,
harder.
there's, like, negative female characters, whereas and I think it's unfortunate with oh god, I'm gonna have to look up character names now. Hold on.
Who do you want? I can tell you.
The 2nd year,
The
resident.
guy?
No, the
Whitaker?
girl. No, not Whitaker.
Santos.
Santos. Like,
She's a doctor.
oh,
Yeah, she's a
it's
resident.
it's tough that now her theme of her is like suspicion surrounding people. Like
Yeah.
she was. Admittedly, it was McKay. Is that the other doctor? That's the
McKay's the other woman, the other doctor
She was the one
with
who
the
was
ankle bracelet.
suspicious of the sex trafficking in season 1, and then
Yeah.
now we have the suspicion of the child abuse in season 2, but it's still,
Yeah.
like, 2 female doctors being, like, very suspicious. They could have had that be Whitaker or something, and it would have felt a little bit less like the theme is women doctors trusting their intuition to try and, like, catch
Yeah.
people doing stuff.
A little bit. Yeah. I can see that take a little bit. Well, who knows? Maybe Langdon, the drug addict, will become a dick again. He was kind of a dick in season 1.
He was. Well, he was a dick to Santos.
Yeah.
He wasn't really a dick to anyone else, and he was kind of more he was confident and people made fun of him for being sort of the boy wonder. That was kind of his and then you even get that at the beginning when he comes back and it's like, "Oh, the prodigal son's returned." There is this element here of, "Oh, here we go. This is like the good-looking, really great doctor who's really full of himself is back." Uh,
So what about, I guess, the biggest new character seems to be the new doctor that will take over for Dr. Robbie because he's going on sabbatical, and it's Dr. Al Hashimi.
yeah.
What do you think of her so far?
Again, kind of going with that theme of them maybe not making some of the female doctors appear quite as likable as the male doctors. She doesn't come across it does feel like she's been put in there to be a sort of a roadblock, the, like, wanting to put processes in place that feel sort of unnecessary, the patient passport thing, like,
Yeah.
really wanting to embrace technology with sort of AI being used, and then wanting to ditch the name The Pit, which I can kinda get. Like, I don't wanna be
She made
being
she made a great case.
I
She made a great argument.
Like, I'm not sure I wanna be wheeled into a hospital and being treated, and then someone's like, "Welcome to the pit." And you're like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Where am I?"
Bane greets you at the door. Welcome
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, it's like,
pit.
"No, no, please take me anywhere else. This feels like the place I go to die."
Yeah. She made a very compelling argument. It's
But,
like, what
yeah,
is every hospital in Pittsburgh called the Pit?
interesting question. Are they all competing for it? It's like, "Guys, we copyrighted this. We have to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, St. Joseph's down the street is gonna take it over."
Yeah.
But, yeah,
That
it's,
one's Joe Pitt.
yeah. But, yeah, she doesn't seem super likable for sure. It's also just the kind of new
Although
boss
Dr.
coming
Robbie
in, like,
seems mean towards her.
he does, but he seems instantly I mean, he's not the easiest guy to work with. He's not made out to be
No.
like, he's got his own quirks, but he is sort of, like, very trusting of the people working underneath him and kind of allowing them to try and learn by making decisions, and so you instantly have the difference in approach there where she wants to tell, whereas his sort of teaching method is you kind of figure it out yourself, and therefore you will remember.
My only other question is, there's obviously something. Oh, well, we kind of addressed it with there was like something going on with Mel, but then it kind of turns out that she's in like a malpractice lawsuit or something. So that's why she was like kind of off a little bit. But I don't know if there's more to that or not.
Yeah, we'll find out. The other thing that strikes me, do doctors carry around just their cell phones that much?
I
They're
guess.
just wondering. They're just wandering around with an iPhone in their pocket at all times. Like, I would have kind of felt like
Probably.
that's you leave that back in your locker, and you have your beeper for being contacted still.
I don't
Like,
think they use beepers anymore.
did they not?
I
It
don't
feels
think
like they
so.
still have beepers in the show. Do they not? They have
I
something
don't
on their
think
hip.
so.
You think they're
Listen, I've
getting
been in
like
the
this?
ER routinely. They don't got
Okay,
beepers.
as we that was Starbucks. Okay, let's.
They
They
had
give you one of those.
beepers.
They give you one of those buzzers where you're like, oh,
Yes.
they're ready.
They
They're
don't have
ready
beepers,
for.
they have those buzzers and then they
They're
light up.
yeah, they're ready to perform surgery now. Please come to the counter.
Surgery number 65, you're not ready? Yeah, but overall pretty good episode. I think and I know we will get a huge I'm sure there'll be a huge incident that happens like it did in season 1, but at least it starts off similar in that you're kind of just thrown into an everyday situation. Like there's no outstanding drama, that's been built up. It's just like, oh, another day of crazy shit happening in the ER.
I hope that there isn't another big thing. We praised it throughout last season up until the very end, where it was like, what's so refreshing is they didn't rely on the like terrorist attack, plane
Oh,
crash,
come on,
and
there's
then
gonna be.
they can't. I mean, it's the 4th of July, so I guess you could just have like just a
Fireworks
thoroughfare
explosion.
of gruesome injuries, of hands being blown off, of a guy hit in the eye by some kind of thing. But I hope there's not some kind of mass event again, because you have already the narrative, the storyline with the handover of power, which is interesting enough, and then you can just have the normal stuff. I For the sake of the show. Otherwise, it will start to feel a little bit like, oh, every season of the Pit, we're now going to just catch them on a day when something
Yeah, you're
incredibly
catching them on
dramatic
a really
happens.
bad day.
But what I like about the show is you're supposed to just kind of be seeing what it's like to be in an
Yeah.
emergency
Well,
room
you
on
still
an
get a little bit of both. You get like most of the season is that, and then you get a little extra. My question to you is, do you think moving forward, does Robbie actually go on the sabbatical? Or does something
no.
happen that he changes his mind?
I think he changes his mind. I think he decides that he cares too much about the hospital and that he worries about what could happen in his absence. So I think this is
Yeah.
building towards him feeling like he has an obligation. I think there's going to be he's going to think back to his mentor. There's going to be some of those flashbacks. It's going to be
More
him
flashbacks,
speaking.
you think?
Oh, yeah. They got to do flashbacks.
Okay.
Already we had to see at the beginning of the show, there was his picture on the wall behind him as he kind
Yeah.
of reads I think there's going to be some flashbacks to instructions he gave to him about like, how important the hospital is and the method is or whatever. And yeah, I think it ends with him choosing. It goes one of two ways. Either he quits, like
Oh.
this is the breaking point, the difference there between what the hospital management want versus, which is another interesting thing. One of the big themes of the last series was like there was a potential takeover by that private company for the
Mhm.
hospital. Has that just moved on, I guess? Which is
We don't know. Maybe. We haven't seen the director yet. She hasn't come down.
yeah, maybe
We'll
they've
see what
taken
she
over.
says. Now here's one other question I have for you. Do we see a character die? One of the main characters, a person who works at the hospital. Do we see one of them die or get seriously injured? They
I'll say
become the
no.
patient.
That is a classic trope of
Yep.
and you can even do it. You can do the Grey's Anatomy way when he gets hit by a car and then they bring him in. They don't know who he is because he's unrecognizable because of the damage to his face. That could be one. Like Robbie goes off on his motorcycle and then an hour later they're like, "Oh, motorcycle crash victim comes in," and then halfway through they're like, "That's Robbie."
But too
That's
bad everyone's got their cell phone, so they just check his
yeah,
cell phone and they see it's him.
yeah. His phone rings. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's Robbie.
Yeah, but no, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, overall, good start to the season. My last question for you is: do you still like the idea that this is a once a week show?
I do think he could deal with like episode 1 doing the double release, so you get to
Okay.
build a bit of momentum, but I do like having to wait for it a bit. But last year, I think when I started watching it, maybe 2 episodes were out, maybe when I jumped in, so you did get to feel like because you're
Yeah.
dealing with that single hour and because storylines don't progress very much during that period, if you could just have that second hour and really have some sense of like where it was kind of going a bit more. And also if you hadn't just done like for someone, if you just rewatched season 1 and now you're jumping back in, that might feel more natural. But having had the few months off and then like trying to get back into the mindset of watching, if that's a thing, you could maybe do with a double drop to start the season.
Yeah, it's true. I think a double drop would be really good because you would get a little more idea of like where it's going and who the characters are and the new characters are. But it's just it's interesting to me that this is out of one of the like few remaining shows that is dropped weekly, it's definitely the most bingeable of them.
Yeah. It's
Like
surprisingly
like,
bingeable because you
it
would
is
think
so bingeable because I
the
think exactly
concept
what you say, though,
seems
how it's like
unbingeable. Because you'd say, like, this is a very intense, heavy medical drama moving hour
yeah,
by hour, and when you think about that, you'd be like, "Oh, this is one of those shows I'm gonna wanna watch one episode, and then you know what? I wanna break." Even if all of the episodes were available, that and actually, it's the opposite. Like, I think I could watch I'm not a rewatcher, so I couldn't rewatch season 1 all the way, but I think if I'd never watched season 1, I could probably sit down and almost watch season 1 now in a day.
yeah,
I can and
because they
be
flow
perfectly
so
happy.
well because
Yeah.
it's literally takes place, like, the second after the first like, that previous episode ends, like, the flow is
Yeah.
so perfect. It is so bingeable, but it's one of the shows that's still released week to week, and I mean, I always like the week to week releases because I think it makes you kind of appreciate the show a little more, where, like, you watch it and you kinda think about it a little bit, like, you kinda take it in versus, like, "Next episode," and then you already have forgotten, like, 3
Yeah.
episodes ago because 'cause you've watched 4 hours of it.
I mean, put it this way, if they'd released it all in one go, by this time next week, I would have watched the entire season of The Pit. Like, there's no doubt
I'd be
about
done
that.
already.
Yeah, and so that would be a shame, and yes, it's true, it's kinda nice. The problem with it is, and this is kind of when I sort of hark back to the way TV used to be, in the old days when you did have that where you're like, Thursday night's Friends or whatever, is you also knew that, well, and Wednesday night is this, and Tuesday night is this. So sort of most nights of the week, you would have had the show that you were gonna watch. The problem you have nowadays is, like, I don't have enough shows that are released on a weekly basis that I
Yeah.
have like, Fallout is also weekly. So now
Yep.
I have kind of 2 shows that I can watch, like, there is an episode per week to look forward to, but
And
then there
HBO, you usually have a good HBO show that comes out on Sundays, and
oh,
you'll
yeah,
have the
there's the
new
new
Kingdom, Night of the
yeah,
Seven Kingdom
the
starts this Sun
Game of
tomorrow,
Thrones.
actually, I think, or is it next week?
It's
It's either
next
this
week.
Sunday or next
It's the
week.
18th, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have that. So you'll have a Sunday. I don't know what day Fallout comes. We haven't started Fallout yet, but they're like it's crazy. It's like 4 episodes out already, right?
Yeah, Fallout comes out on, the 14th is the next episode, so that's Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yeah. And then that's
So, yeah, I
around when
mean
Landman comes out too, is on a Wednesday.
so
Because
you
I
do
watch it
now
on the Stairmaster on Thursday mornings.
I do now, yes, have Wednesday Fallout, Thursday The Pit. Like, I could do that, but Friday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Monday, nothing. But, you know, we'll see. I did The Floor. Have you ever watched The Floor, the game show in the US?
No, I don't isn't it a British show?
No, it's an American show, but filmed in Ireland. And now they have The
Oh, okay,
Floor
yeah, yes, yes,
UK.
yes, that's what I'm yeah.
And The Floor UK just launched. So it's actually a rare example of a game show that
Oh,
starts in the
going the other
US that
way.
moves the other way because normally it's the and I watched The Floor UK the first episode last Sunday. Having heard, I listened to podcasts where they talk about The Floor US, and I'd heard the whole thing. Like it's held up as the example of how expensive it is to make TV shows in the US because like it's cheaper to fly everyone to Ireland and film it there than it is to say make it in LA.
Yeah.
It's stupid because it's just people like seeing
I just
pictures of
saw the
things.
commercial for it. Like,
So to
it's kind
give
of like
listeners a concept, you have an area of expertise which I think you kind of pick, but fundamentally you're selecting from a list of options. So it could be say um, NFL teams. And then the picture will just be of something relating to an NFL. It could be NFL players, let's say. It's probably more likely to be that. And then a picture is Tom Brady, and you have to name Tom Brady. And there's a kind of you have like a 40-second countdown going on. So however long you take, you're eating away at your own time, and you're going head to head with a person, just sort of seeing pictures of players and naming them. It could be flowers, dog breeds, whatever. You kind of that's all you're doing, and you got to beat someone at their sort of chosen or theoretically chosen category. It's very mindless. It's kind of the American because I watched the British version and then watched the American version just because I'd never seen it. The American version is, as American versions tend to be, like a lot more sort of drama. Like someone will lose and and then there's other people competing like, I can't believe Frank beat him at that. Oh my God. It's like, what do you mean you can't believe that these two people just tried to name dog breeds from pictures faster than one another and one of them beat them? Like it's not a real skill. Like there's no real kind of like expertise required to be good at it. Like, the only thing you could say is that some people are better at sort of very quickly seeing something, recognizing, saying it, and that's the skill, whereas other people might stumble even though they know what it is. And, like, certainly once you get one wrong, the risk of getting more than one wrong significantly increases. But yeah, it's not bad, but also not great.
Speaking of, I know we're running along, but you know, now that I watch a lot of uh, UK and English television, and um, one of the British game shows now that we've watched, we've still watching Tipping Point a lot. Obviously, The Chase is always on, but the new one that we occasionally watch is Tenable. So for American listeners, Tenable is it's kind of like Family Feud in the sense that you have to answer a question that has a list of answers, but the answers aren't like a random 100 people said this. It's like actual answers to actual questions, like uh the top 10 ranked teams that have won the Stanley Cup or something like that, and you have to kind of name them, and it's in like a pyramid shape where usually like the top one is the number one and the bottom one would be number 10, and there's ten answers you have to give, and depending on how many you give, you build a money pot or whatever. But there's been a few, Eddie, that I've seen and I go, oh, I wonder how Eddie would do on these. So I saved two of them. There was the really good one was, I think it was like in the past 20 years, name the 10 tennis players that have won more than two majors. But I didn't take a picture of it and I can't remember it. And it might be a little difficult to find because it was like within a certain time frame.
Mhm.
But there were a few answers in there that were kind of tricky that I didn't know, but I actually did pretty well on that one. But I'll give you, so I have two of them. I'll give you the option. Category one is Euros, or category two is cocktails.
I'll do Euros.
Okay. The Euros question: name the top 10 scoring teams from the 2020 Euros.
Oh,
So
boy.
obviously it was recorded. This obviously I think was recorded in 2021 or 2022. So that's why they're doing the 2020 Euros.
Okay. So England and Italy played each other in the final, so I'll pick them.
Oh, so real quick, this was the final one. So every person who's left on the team has to give an answer, and if you get it wrong, you're eliminated from your team, and then the team itself has to get all 10. So I'll give
Okay.
you two wrong answers. You're allowed.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just say because England and Italy made the final. Italy were not particularly high scoring, but I'll say they're both in the top 10.
Okay. So you say Italy. Is it
Yeah.
tenable?
Oh, we're gonna
Have you
okay,
seen
we
the
don't
show?
maybe have to do
No, we're not going to do the sound effects. Yes,
well, you mean
Italy is
you're not
correct.
going to. And England?
Italy's correct. That was number one.
England?
England, yes, number four.
Germany went out early to England, but they did beat Scotland 5-0, I think it was, or 5-1 in the group stages, so I will put Germany in the top 10.
Is Germany tenable? Uh,
Really?
Germany was not on the top 10 list.
Okay. I mean, England played Denmark in the semifinals, so I'm gonna guess based on that, Denmark.
Denmark is tenable. Got three.
Um, Italy played
It's
Spain in
hard
the
to keep track of who you
semifinals,
got, but okay.
so I'll say Spain as well.
Spain, number two, is tenable. You now have the first four: Italy, Spain, Denmark, England.
Okay.
You
Um,
have one more free life.
yeah, it's tough. Gotta think who else made it far. Um,
Listeners are now screaming at their
well,
their
some of the
headphones.
silence gets edited out, so it's easier. I'll put the Netherlands did okay. I'll take the Netherlands to be top 10.
The Netherlands is tenable. That was number six. So you're missing five and seven through 10.
France,
France is tenable, number nine.
Portugal.
Portugal is tenable, number 10. You're now missing three with one life left.
So which numbers
You're
just
missing five, seven, and eight.
risk? Belgium.
Belgium. Is Belgium tenable? Yes. Number five. You're now missing 7 and 8. Belgium, I think, was a pretty easy guess. That was like in their like
But
golden era.
yeah, but they went out like in the
They went out, but they
quarterfinals.
scored a lot when they won.
Switzerland made the quarterfinals. They knocked out France, and that was like that was the penalties. That was 3-all or whatever. So I'll say Switzerland.
Is Switzerland tenable? Yes. Switzerland is number 7. This is in this show, it takes forever too.
I know.
Sometimes it can be like 20 seconds before you find out if you're right or not. You are
Why did
now
I think
missing number 8. You have 1 free life left.
why did I think Germany beat Scotland? Which tournament was that? Oh, that must have been the last Euros. Yeah, that was the last Euros I'm thinking about.
It's
The
2024.
the 5-0 or whatever. Because yeah, Germany, Scotland, and England were in the same group in this one.
And keep note, everyone, this is the 2020 Euros that was actually held in 2021.
2021. Yeah, the
because of the
pandemic
COVID.
delayed.
Yes.
So I'm missing which number?
Number 8, ahead of France and Portugal.
So Czech Republic made the quarterfinals. That was like Šeško's breakout, I think. Šeško? Is he Czech or is he Hungarian? Czech. But I don't think they scored many goals. England played Ukraine in the quarterfinals, but I don't think Ukraine scored many goals. I'll say the Czech Republic.
It is not the Czech Republic. They were 11th. They were slightly untenable at 11. You now have one answer remaining. And I will say, it's not a hint, but 8, 9, and 10 all had the same amount of goals. And 9 and 10 were France and Portugal. Germany, by the way, was right. Germany was just out. They were also 11th. They had 6 goals.
Have I said the Netherlands?
Yes, you said the Netherlands.
I have said the Netherlands.
They were just ahead. I'll give you the answers you said just in case. Italy, Spain, Denmark, England, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, France, Portugal.
I think.
I need an answer. You have guessed the 2 below, Germany and Czech, that are untenable. We're sitting in 11th.
Because I have to have made the knockout stages in order to be. I would have thought like it's hard to be top 10 scorer and to be knocked out in the group stages. Croatia.
Is Croatia tenable for the win? Yes, it was Croatia. Nice. Nice work. That team who did it, that was their final question to win, I think, like £9,000, and they lost. They got 9 out of 10. They did not get Switzerland, was the one they did not get.
Yeah, the Switzerland one is the key to remembering. I mean, I very fondly remember Switzerland beating France on that penalty shootout. I think that finished 3-all. So once you think that they scored 3 goals in a game, it's probably going to be enough to almost put you in the top 10 just through that. Like not being in, having already made it through the group stages, because that must put Switzerland on like 7 goals, 8 goals for the tournament, which should be top 10. You know, you can play. We can start doing this for real, because there are websites where you could just do Tenable and it does it. And
really?
I quite often see on my social media like podcasts where they do Tenable.
Oh, I would like that. Tenable's fun. Only if it takes as long as it does to reveal the answers.
No, I don't think it's quite as bad. But
yeah, maybe next episode we can do one.
Because yeah, there's a proper.
Do we do one like together as a team?
We can do that, because there's an app. There's the Tenable app that you can do. So
I love it.
May have to pay for that, but we can see. I'll look into it. All right, sounds good. We'll see how that works.
All right, I guess with that we'll call it a day.
All right,
get excited for the next one. All right, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.